I saw something really gross today that I just need to vent about. There is a pastor in Indiana named John Lowe II, which sounds like a generic NPC name in The Sims, and he went on stage in front of the congregation to admit to committing adultery 20 years ago, and received a standing ovation for his honesty. The crowd was cheering as if it was E3 and their favorite video game just had a sequel announced. A massive, uproarious round of applause. All because this guy publicly admitted to cheating on his wife. And then it wasn't until the person that he had the affair with came on stage that they realized, maybe this isn't something to be happy about, because the victim was a 16-year-old girl that he molested and sexually abused at the church.
In case you don't know, I'm Pastor John Lowe, and
I already hate this shit. Pastors are worshipped more than Jesus, it feels like. I have absolutely no problem with religion or anything like that. As most of you know, I was an extremely religious youth. I got baptized twice just because I was afraid God might have missed the first one. And while I may not be religious anymore, I do still get it. But what I've never understood is why pastors themselves are treated like gods by the people that go to church. It's super counterintuitive. It goes against everything the Bible teaches. The people are there more to worship and suck the dick of the pastor than they are to, give thanks and praise Jesus. And it happens all the time, especially with pastors like Kenneth Copeland and Peter Popoff. They'll just blatantly say, we need you to give us all of your money because we require another jet to preach the good word of the Lord. And people will happily just give up their family's entire earnings to the church, to the pastors directly, to support that greed. Just actual evil assholes. I'm getting carried away, but you can see it right away here, where they're just shouting and cheering because this guy said his own name. Dude's up there to publicly confess to an actual fucking crime, and he still can't help but get cheered on like he's a rock star for it.
I committed adultery. It was nearly 20 years ago. It continued far too long. It involved one person, and there's been no other, nor any other situations of unbecoming conduct for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I highly doubt that last part from the confession where he says this is the only person it happened with. I imagine he's probably done this to multiple other victims, just a little sneaking suspicion. He's doing his best to tiptoe around the details here because he doesn't want to reveal that the victim was underage and how fucked up it all was. So he's being very careful with the way he describes the adultery.
While applying church discipline for sexual failure, for repentance, confession, and restoration, I myself had not been disciplined for sexual misconduct. I will not use the Bible to defend myself or to beat you into scriptural submission.
I'm not gonna lie, this part actually shocked me here, him saying that he's not gonna use the Bible to defend himself. That's the number one thing the Bible has been used for hundreds of years, to defend some awful shit because of a disgusting interpretation of what the Bible says. And what's even more shocking is the way that he describes the Bible here makes it sound like it's a chair in the WWE. He says, I'm not gonna beat you into scriptural submission. Bruh, it sounds like some kind of promo material that Hulk Hogan would have said, hey brother, I'm gonna use the Bible to lay the smackdown on you at the upcoming WrestleMania Raw.
Meanwhile, I hope you believe God called you here. Meanwhile, I hope you believe that God called you here, perhaps for such a time as this. To believe, to forgive, to heal, so that God can reveal His goodness to you.
Man, what the fuck are you talking about? I certainly hope there'd never come a time where the Lord calls me into church specifically to listen to some bumbling goober confess to molesting a 16-year-old girl. Why would he want me to be there for that? Why would he want any of these people to go to church to listen to that? Because I know it wouldn't be for forgiveness. No shot. Absolutely not. And what makes me really infuriated here, and I guess I can't really blame the people, it's not their fault, but them just agreeing with him saying amen as if he's making a good point. When he's saying, I hope you believe God called you here for a time such as this so that way we can heal, forgive, and you might see His goodness. Phrasing it in a way where it's if you forgive me for my actions, then the Lord might be really nice to you in return. Can I get an amen, huh? You want a shiny new car? Well, you might want to forgive me for this crime. The Lord might provide.
I have committed to the Lord and now to you that I will submit to the process and recommendations of this board.
Yeah, a standing ovation for that. Amazing. There was a couple people, like, you could hear kind of cheering lightly throughout the thing, which is weird too. Like, fucking pumping their fists, like, oh my god, the pastor's fucking, and it's not his wife. Whee! Yeah! Absolute wild and wackiness. They're treating it as if it's like a little fucking Super Bowl kind of event. But let me warn you, what you're about to hear next is pretty heavy and hard to listen to. The victim herself comes forward to actually paint the picture of what happened that the pastor was leaving out. And she says this to the people that were just giving a massive round of applause and standing ovation to the guy.
I lived in a prison of lies and shame, lying to protect the Lowe family. For years I thought I was a horrible person having suicidal thoughts, not realizing what had been truly done to me. I'm a prisoner no longer. I was just 16 when you took my virginity on your office floor. Do you remember that? I know you do, and I have plenty of other stories that I could bring to your remembrance.
She describes in detail the actual nature of the adultery that he was so desperately trying to dodge. He was trying to, do his best to avoid every possible raindrop of detail surrounding this, but now she's the storm that's come through and has revealed all of it to the people that were just cheering for this evil man. So, I don't want to play too much of it here because, like I said, it is hard to listen to. She says it started when she was 16, and there were witnesses and people that knew what was happening, but when she tried to talk about it, all that was done was that it was covered up.
If you did it, you need to admit it. That's right. 100%.
I told you I committed adultery. I told you that it went on far too long.
Did you do it? That's all we need to know.
Yes, we did.
You didn't tell them she was 14 years old.
No, at 16.
Now the crowd's turned on him with the pitchforks out and looking for a biblical beatdown of their own for this guy. And this comes because the woman, the victim, came forward with a lot of information about what happened, as well as her partner coming forward with additional information that they revealed in front of the entire congregation publicly. And now the crowd that was just cheering for him is no longer super thrilled about it. Adultery, I guess, was totally fine. They were okay with adultery and long-term adultery. But now that they've learned that it was against an underage minor, well, that's changed the whole narrative. I think both are bad. Obviously, it's worse that it's with a kid, but I don't think there was still any world where they should have been cheering for the guy who just admitted to cheating on his wife for so long. It's still fucked up. I am glad, though, that they at least somewhat came to their senses like, Jesus, this is bad, this shit is not good.
That's just the way it is. It's not all true, but that did happen, yes. And all I can do is ask you to forgive me. And I'm doing what the Bible process or biblical process is in the church. I'm stepping down, stepping aside.
For everything that we have done wrong in our lives, that you begin to heal us, Lord.
And then once again, I was disappointed by the people here when they went up to give this guy a hug during their prayers. I'm just gonna say it, I don't think there's any power in forgiving someone like that man. That guy is a fucking monster. This went on for years, and it started when she was underage, and it was covered up. There's no power, and there's nothing righteous about forgiving an actual piece of shit like that. So the fact that after they learned all this information, after everything that was talked about during the service from the victim as well as her partner, after all of that, they still go up there and embrace him and seemingly forgive him, I guess, if the body language is anything to go off of. Just a horde of people go up there to give a giant group hug in the showers here, all up there huddled around each other like they're trying to recover a fucking fumble in football, all around that guy. who is a bad guy and doesn't deserve the forgiveness. Anyway, this video just made me upset. I wanted to talk about it, and that's really about it. So yeah. Today we're going to be talking about a pure evil YouTuber that was just arrested for some truly heinous stuff. This is not a goofy topic at all. This is going to take that smile off of your face faster than if you had watched a James Corden clip. This is the story about Ruby Frank of the very popular parental advice / parenting blogger / family YouTube channel 8 Passengers, which is already a really creepy name, by the way. 8 Passengers does sound like some kind of cult. 8 Passengers sounds like the title to a horror movie. And unfortunately, that's not far off, because the woman behind this YouTube channel, Ruby Frank, is basically a monster out of a horror film. Ruby Frank and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, were arrested this week, and they're being charged with 6 counts of child abuse. Now, Ruby wasn't alone with the 8 Passengers YouTube channel. Her husband, Kevin, was also prominently featured in there as well. But for some reason, he's not mentioned in any of this right now, aside from a couple of mentions that he's just trying to keep the family together and help the children through this difficult time with Ruby being arrested. But I can't imagine a world where Kevin was somehow oblivious to all of the abuse the children suffered in that household. There's no way Kevin didn't know what was happening. Unless he's an absolute fucking lobotomite zombie, there's no way he didn't know what the children are being subjected to. I just can't imagine a single multiverse possibility that Kevin is squeaky clean in this situation, just totally innocent, had no idea what was happening to the kids in that house. Especially considering in 2020, Kevin was front and center fighting on the front lines to defend himself and his wife against abuse allegations, defending their parental style. I'll go into a bit more detail on that situation a bit towards the end of the video, but basically, some viewers were really concerned for the safety of the children based on what was being presented in some of the 8 Passengers videos, as well as what was being discussed, such as taking away one of the kids' food privileges, as well as one of the kids' bedroom privileges, and eventually they tried to get CPS involved, and CPS did get loosely involved, but the whole time Kevin was defending the actions that they had been taking with their parenting. So like, I don't believe that he didn't know about all of the abuse that was being suffered in that household by the children. But since right now it's only Ruby and Jody who have been arrested, I'll focus on them. They go over some of the stories and videos that she would proudly post on her channel, where she just openly admits, proudly, almost bragging, about torturing her children. She built a reputation as being a strict parent with a strict parental style, but strict is not the right word for it. This isn't like some kind of teacher that's like, hey class, settle down, no fishy business, we got work to do here. And this isn't even strict like, you know, your fucking basic training drill sergeant or anything. This, the way she treats her children is like the way prisoners are treated at Guantanamo Bay. She fucking posted a video where she was laughing about not feeding her daughter any food because she was punishing her. And she even said that she hopes nobody gives her daughter any food because if she did, then the lesson wouldn't be learned. She was starving her daughter as a means of punishment. And it only gets worse. I learned about this on stream, so I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the clips and go over some of the stories that were shared. I think it's important to mention that this was not some small obscure channel. The content they were posting wasn't just being banished to the shadow realm immediately with no eyes ever being on it, no one ever seeing it. This was a huge channel. 8 Passengers had 2.5 million subscribers. I know it's become somewhat of a trend in journalism to try and like clickbait headlines with things like famous TikToker arrested for DUI and jiggling butt cheeks to Doja Cat Say So on the side of the road. And you read that and it's very eye-catching because it's like, famous TikToker, oh shit, well who was it? And then you'll read the person's name in the article about the crime and then you'll check their TikTok page and it turns out they have 50 followers and all they do is speculate on anime power levels, and it's like, well, not exactly a famous TikToker, but it's 2023, so everyone has some kind of social media presence and journalists will oftentimes just connect it to that. So famous TikToker does this or famous Twitter shitposter does that, even though they're not exactly a famous TikToker or this and that. But in this case, it really is a famous YouTuber, a very large YouTube channel that gave tons of parental advice for a very long time, had a very successful family vlog, and then even went on with Jody Hildebrandt to start doing life coaching and general life advice. All the while, she'd been abusing her children the entire fucking time. I don't know, there's something about that picture that's super eerie. It reminds me of something out of like Midsummer. A Utah mother known for chronicling her strict parenting style was arrested after one of her children ran to a neighbor's house seeking help. Her channel name was 8 Passengers. They had 2.2 million subscribers. Ms. Frank hosted the now-defunct YouTube channel 8 Passengers, where she posted videos about her parenting approach with her 6 children, including refusing them food as a form of punishment. Wait, and she did this on YouTube?
My kids are literally starving. I hesitate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm like a mean barbarian, but I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
The red flags were all there. She was hiding in plain sight. That's actual torture. You can't do that. Miss Frank and Miss Hildebrandt were each charged on Friday with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse, according to the Washington County Attorney's Office. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 15 years in prison and a fine up to $10,000. According to the affidavit, Miss Frank's 12-year-old son, identified as RF, climbed out of a window of Miss Hildebrandt's home and went to a neighbor's house on Wednesday morning asking for food and water. The child had duct tape on his ankles and wrists, as well as open wounds. He appeared to be emaciated and malnourished. This is some pure evil shit. The neighbor called the police, who then found Miss Frank's 10-year-old daughter, Eve, at Miss Hildebrandt's. She also appeared to be malnourished, the affidavit said. Both children were taken to the hospital. The boy was placed on a medical hold due to his deep lacerations from being tied up with rope and from his malnourishment, according to the affidavit. Oh my god. At one point, Miss Frank had 2.5 million subscribers to her channel, following the lives of her 6 children. In 2020, Chad Frank, then 15, told YouTube viewers in one family video that he had been sleeping on a beanbag for months and that he had lost his bedroom after playing a prank on his little brother. How did she get away with it for so long? If this was literally in their YouTube video. She, on camera in her TikTok or whatever, said that she denies her children food as a form of punishment, and then apparently one of the kids also revealed that he had lost bedroom privileges for months after playing a prank. How? How did this persist? This should have went straight to prison. Do not pass go. In one video recorded by Miss Frank and reposted to TikTok, she said her daughter Eve's teacher had called her to say Eve had come to school without lunch. Miss Frank said the teacher was uncomfortable with her being hungry, but that Eve was responsible for making her own lunch, and that the natural outcome is she is just going to be hungry. Hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch, because then she's not going to learn from it. And this is all on video. She said this on video. How was CPS not alerted sooner? Oh, and apparently there was even a bunch of petitions from the community to try and get them taken down because it was actual evidence of child abuse. But it looks like none of that was taken seriously. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, and so glad they finally decided to step up. Kids are safe, but there's a long road ahead. Oh, this was one of the children. Sherry Frank, now a junior at BYU, posted about her mother's arrest on Instagram saying justice is being served. So one of the kids was trying to alert CPS and the police and they didn't do anything? How would you not trust one of the victims of it? Especially when there's so much documented evidence on their own fucking YouTube channel. Now, I mentioned on stream how surprising it was that this hadn't happened sooner when she openly posted content about some of the abuse she was inflicting upon her children. And it turns out a lot of the community that was aware of this channel was actively trying to get CPS involved, especially when it came to that beanbag incident where one of the children made it clear that they had been sleeping on a beanbag for an extended period of time because they had lost their bedroom due to that prank that they had played on one of the siblings. So CPS did get loosely involved at some point, but Ruby was somehow able to brushed them off and nothing came from it somehow, which blows my mind because this isn't one of those situations with hindsight being 2020. This isn't one of those things where you can just say, man, if we only knew then what we know now, we could have really helped them. Because this is so clear cut. Like, this should have been a no-brainer that something was wrong. For an authority figure to look at any of these videos, it should have been a massive, alarming situation. Fucking sirens should have been blaring. The second that Ruby was proudly gloating, wiggling her finger, celebrating her incredible parenting of just depriving her children of food as a punishment, that should have been enough to get authorities involved and learn about what was actually happening here with the Ruby Frank household. It's super infuriating that this went on for as long as it did, when a lot of people did keep trying to push this forward to CPS to get them to take action, knowing that something was wrong and knowing what Ruby was posting about and saying was not okay. It's not strict parenting, it's actual abuse. By every possible definition. This is not something where it's like, builds character, toughen up, sport, rub some dirt in it. You know, you're not getting breakfast. In fact, you're also not getting your bedroom. It's gonna put some hair on your chest. You're gonna learn something today. You know, it's not anything like that. It's fucking abuse. This isn't parenting. I can't believe that it went on for so long. I'm happy now finally something is being done, but I feel fucking horrible for the kids in this situation that they'd been let down not only by the person that's supposed to care for them more than anyone else in the world, their mother, but they were also let down by the authorities that are supposed to be trying to help them in an emergency situation. It shouldn't have taken this long. Ruby's sisters also have hundreds of thousands of followers, so they posted an Instagram statement that said, "For the last 3 years, we have kept quiet on the subject of our sister Ruby Frank for the sake of her children. Behind the public scene, we have done everything we could to try and make sure the kids were safe. We wouldn't feel right about moving forward with regular content without addressing the most recent events. Once we do, we will not be commenting on it further. Ruby was arrested, which needed to happen. Jody was arrested, which needed to happen. The kids are now safe, which is the #1 priority." I've just got to say that statement of "we kept quiet for the last 3 years for the sake of the children" doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because keeping quiet wasn't helping the children. They were being abused, and if you were aware of that, how the fuck would being quiet somehow help them? How is that doing everything you can behind the scenes to keep them safe? That's doing nothing. That is literally the Simpsons meme of "we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas." Now, I guess it's possible they didn't know the extent of the abuse that the children were suffering, but even still, if you were aware of children being abused in any capacity, you should have been doing everything in your power to get the kids out of that situation. Being quiet doesn't get them out of the situation. That doesn't do anything to actually save them or keep them safe. You should have made a lot of noise and kept going to authorities over and over again, gathering as much evidence as possible to try and help those kids. And maybe they were. Like, this is, again, just a very short statement, so maybe they were, but them saying that they kept quiet for 3 years to keep them safe, it doesn't compute. Because that's not keeping the kids safe, that's keeping them locked in that prison with the monster. Now, as was mentioned by one of the daughters, there was a lot of attempts to get police and CPS involved that just didn't work. So it is possible that perhaps the sisters here were actively trying to do that and kept trying to get authorities involved unsuccessfully. It's just that saying you kept quiet for 3 years it really isn't clicking with me. I don't know why you would be quiet for 3 years if you were actively working to keep the kids safe. Let's imagine that one of the kids wasn't lucky enough to break free and escape through a window and get help from someone nearby. They'd still be tied up right now in that house, and you would still be being quiet. This fucking ridiculous silence is golden strategy didn't help the kids. The only person it helped was your sister, because it allowed her to keep abusing those children for 3 more years. And the only reason this even came crumbling down and she finally got arrested is because one of them broke free, covered in deep lacerations, and was able to get help so they could all be saved. Had that not happened, you would still be quiet and those kids would still be suffering. I know I'm getting pretty heated here, but this story is just infuriatingly evil. I am happy that Ruby and Jody have been arrested. I hope they get the absolute maximum sentence here. But I do still think there's other people that knew what was happening in that household that should also face very severe punishment for allowing that to happen and continue happening for as long as it did. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this. That's about it. See ya. If you grew up during the 90s or the early 2000s, there's an extremely high chance that you watched some of Dan Schneider's shows. It was like impossible to avoid him. It'd be like trying to dodge raindrops during a thunderstorm. Dan Schneider during this period was the king of children's television programs. He made some of the most influential productions like Drake and Josh, The Amanda Show, iCarly. His resume is just stacked with tons of shows that I imagine meant a lot to many of you growing up. And make no mistake, you meant a lot to the creator of these shows as well. Well, not so much you, but your feet certainly did. The creator of these shows is a monstrous foot fetishist, Dan Get in the Van Schneider. He is a vile, creepy, disgusting human being, and this has been known for years. However, a new docuseries just dropped really diving into this subject matter and putting a spotlight on it in a way that hasn't previously been explored. It's called Quiet on Set. Now, if you don't know what Dan looks like, here's a nice picture of him here. He looks like he was made in the Dragon's Dogma 2 character creator. And Dan Schneider has become the face of Quiet on Set. However, it actually explores more than that. It's like a whole deep look at all of the horrible things that were going on during these Nickelodeon productions. It's more than just Dan, but he obviously plays a central role here because he made these shows. He was the head honcho of most of this, and he was well aware of some of these terrible and downright criminal things that were going on behind the scenes on some of these shows. And the reason I mention the foot fetishism off rip here is because that was one of the first things that people really caught on to in the public eye. After Dan's glory days at Nickelodeon, people started to pick up on how odd it was that a lot of these children's shows had an emphasis on feet. Pretty frequently, it was a common thread throughout a lot of these shows, like feet humor and having these child actors and actresses displaying their feet. And in 2013, one of the shows Dan worked on, Sam and Cat, actually ran a competition where kids were supposed to submit pictures of their feet to them. Like, that's weird. No matter how you spin it, that's a really weird thing to request from your audience of children, to take pictures of their feet for you. That's just downright creepy and wrong. I can't believe that tweet is still up, by the way, over a decade later, and no one thought to delete that. That is impressive. But anyway, people started to pick up on Dan's fixation with stompers, and it seemed like his fetish was bleeding into his work, and he was having the children unknowingly participate in it by having them display their feet. That's what it seemed to a lot of people, so it was obviously very concerning, so people did more and more digging. They found more and more evidence of Dan being an awful piece of shit behind the scenes with a lot of shady things going on there, and it just led to this reputation that people for years have known that Dan blows loads to toes Schneider is not a good person. And now Quiet on the Set has released, and so much information has come out, not just about Dan, but about that entire Nickelodeon workplace around these child stars. Arguably the largest piece of new information that dropped during this docuseries was the sexual abuse of Drake Bell by someone named Brian Peck. So Brian Peck was a coach at Nickelodeon whom was sexually abusing Drake Bell, and he was actually convicted in 2004. He spent 16 months in the slammer, and then immediately upon release, landed a job with Disney. If that doesn't show just how rotten to the core this industry is, I don't know what will. There is deep-seated evil in Hollywood. He went to jail for lewd acts with a minor. He is a sex offender, a convicted sex offender, and he immediately got a Disney Channel job working on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. What the fuck? That's mind-bogglingly evil. Like that's not just irresponsible, that's malicious. It's not like they just made some kind of mistake where they put a sex offender in a role where he works almost exclusively with children. It's not like they made a whoopsie-daisy, they just happened to overlook that he's a sex offender. They knew. They would have to know, and they still hired him for that role regardless. That's scary. That's terrifying. They're actively enabling a fucking sex offender to potentially prey on more children. Drake also described that when he went into court, Brian Peck had the support of some very powerful and familiar faces. There were 41 character letters written to the judge asking for leniency for Brian Peck. 41 letters of support from industry personnel that were trying to get a lighter sentence for Brian Peck, even knowing that he is guilty of the crimes for which he is about to face the punishment, asking for a more generous sentence. These weren't just 41 pieces of toilet paper with nonsensical scribblings on it from nobodies. These were 41 character letters that were submitted by industry personnel, some of whom were high up on the food chain, so these things carried weight. And they're advocating for someone who is guilty of sexually abusing a child. Holy shit. They just viewed it as not a big deal, I guess. Listen, Judge, I understand Brian Peck diddled a child. Who at Nickelodeon hasn't? Are you really gonna throw him away or put him away and throw away the key for that? What about season 3 of Drake and Josh? What actually matters here? Let's think about that. Like, this is crazy to me. It almost stops being surprising learning that Brian Peck landed a job at Disney right after his 16 months in prison for this crime, because it seems like that entire industry just does not give a fuck about the safety of kids to begin with. So like I said, Quiet on Set isn't just about Dan Schneider and all of the awful things that he has done. It's about how awful that entire industry itself is. But once again, Dan Schneider does still play a large role in this docuseries, highlighting the bad workplace and environment that he would cultivate, the weird shit that would go on in like the writer's room and the way he'd treat some people, just a whole plethora of different bad stuff. And in response to all of this, Dan Schneider himself actually stepped out from the shadows, leaving his little gopher's hidey hole and addressing it head on in one of the most painfully scripted and staged apology video interviews I've ever seen.
Hey, it's Boogie. I played T-Bo on Nickelodeon's iCarly. I got a chance to watch the Quiet on Set program, and I reached out to Dan to see if it was something that he'd be willing to discuss. I'm pleased to say that he said yes. Dan, how are you?
I'm okay.
The interview is not conducted by a professional. It's conducted by a former actor in one of Dan Schneider's shows, and he is not equipped to handle something like this. This is the biggest load of baloney. Like, this is just some straight up fucking malarkey. There is no pushback from Boogie on anything in this interview at all. It's just strategic softballs designed to give Dan Schneider some kind of sympathetic PR win here, where he comes out of this looking better, where he comes out of this like not the bad guy. It's so deplorable that they'd even try something like this with a straight face. I think it is extremely transparent what this is, and I'm happy to say pretty much everyone saw straight through this. This did not give Dan Schneider the dunk I think he was expecting it to. This did not make him look any better in the public's eye. It actually just made it look even more sinister that he was able to, it seems, pre-prepare this interview to mitigate the potential fallout from the docuseries airing.
Let's talk about the massages.
Okay.
Watching the content yesterday, it was disturbing.
It was wrong. It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to anybody that I ever put in that situation.
Dan, talk to me about the writer's room. From what I saw, not cool.
No, and I don't mean to cut you off, but if I can cut right to the chase, let me just say, no writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room, ever, period, the end, no excuses.
It starts with what's supposed to be this moment of taking accountability. Dan Schneider is just point blank apologizing and, holding himself accountable for the sins of the past type vibe. Except he's really not. Like, these aren't things that you just, hand wave away with, a simple apology. A lot of what was reported is, unforgivable bad shit. There's really no way of apologizing for the things that Dan Schneider has done and also been accused of. So it's just, it feels so fucking insincere. And Dan Schneider got away with it, and it seems will continue to get away with it. So he loses nothing by doing something like this, which just makes it frustrating to see him parade around pretending like he cares now all of a sudden. It's extremely easy for him to just be like, oh yeah, that was bad. I feel bad for that. Oh, what a regret. Yep, not good. It's just, I would have liked if the interviewer was someone that would legitimately dive into a lot of these things and actually press him on a lot of these things. This interview never even addresses the things that people want to hear from Dan on, such as like the sexualization of the children in those shows. Even outside of all the foot stuff, Dan included some very inappropriate things in his programs, such as Ariana Grande milking a potato, and then another scene with her getting like splashed with water and shit. Like, all of it was very unacceptable and seems to sexualize the child actors and actresses in his productions. And that was never even brought up in this interview. So this interview it doesn't have any real substance to it. It is legitimately just a scripted PR play from Dan.
I cut it. I want my shows to be popular. I want everyone to like. The more people who like the shows, the happier I am.
Yeah.
So if there's anything in a show that needs to be cut because it's upsetting somebody, let's cut it.
So I think it's big for you to say, with your work, if it's viewed as that today, you don't have a problem.
Cut it. Cut it.
I mean, that's a solution.
The last thing I want to ever do is put any content in a show that's going to upset my audience and make them want to turn off the TV. Why would I ever want to do that?
That makes sense.
This is him addressing a question that Boogie asked about like inappropriate jokes in there without getting too deep into the weeds, just a broad subject of some of these jokes have aged poorly and people look at them as inappropriate for a child audience. How do you respond? The most softball way of asking this question, mind you, and his response was, cut it. Just get rid of it. I don't want it in the show. If it's aged bad and it makes people uncomfortable or, you know, this and that, cut it. And Boogie's like patting him on the back for it, like, oh my goodness, wow. That's so benevolent. What a great solution. Yeah, that makes sense. What the fuck? It's so easy for him to say that now, but it doesn't take away the fact that you filmed it. If you cut Ariana Grande milking a potato type shit, if you cut some of the foot stuff that you included in there, it doesn't change the fact that you still had the child actors and actresses doing that shit and were sexualizing them. It still happened. That's still bad. Cutting it from the final product doesn't erase what you did. It's so frustrating that there's no pushback on any of this in the interview. He just gets to let him say his piece and then get applause for it. It's so stupid.
And when Drake and I talked and he told me what had happened, I was more devastated by that than anything that ever happened to me in my career thus far. 41 of those people wrote letters for Peck, character letters, praising him for who he was and asking for leniency, and they knew that he was guilty. They knew he had confessed to some degree, and they still did this. But Drake's mom, a lovely woman who I stay in contact with this day, she came to me at the time and she said, would you help me with my speech for the judge? And I said, of course. And I did.
Dan Schneider's fishing for the Nickelodeon's Kid Choice Award for the best fake crying. It feels super forced and super insincere. Him tearing up while talking about this story. This is him talking about the Drake and Brian Peck case, where he mentions 41 people wrote those letters and it baffled him. And then Drake's mom actually asked him to help her write her piece, which he did. And that leads me to a question of, if you knew all this, why didn't you back up Drake Bell? The way it's described, Brian Peck had all of these people in his corner, but Drake really only had his mom and his brother. Why weren't you more involved then? Like, I imagine that could have been extraordinarily helpful. But regardless, this interview doesn't do anything to change my perception of Dan Schneider, or anyone else's, really, I imagine, because it's still nothing. This isn't really an interview, it's just a PR piece, disguised as an interview. It's just more despicable garbage here. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Again, the docuseries is called Quiet on Set. It's out now. And just kind of wanted to go over it a little bit. That's it. See ya.
My husband and I have removed the bottoms of all of our shoes.
Has the world gone mad? Jumpin' Jehooshaphats, cutting the bottoms of your shoes off so you can walk around in the city streets barefoot and into businesses barefoot is absolute insanity. But that's TikTok for you, baby.
We decided to start walking barefoot, and one of our followers had a great idea. Since some businesses don't want us being completely barefoot, if we cut off the bottom of our shoes, it'll allow us to be barefoot but blend in with everyone else.
It's the perfect plan. The masters of disguise. Hats off to that follower there. Shoes off to that follower there who suggested this fucking stinker of an idea. The barefoot Batman giving them a symbol of hope here. Why not just cut the bottoms of your shoes off so you can walk around barefoot all the time? I bet they said it as a joke because it's the most outlandish suggestion they could think of, and these goobers bought into it hook, line, and sinker. No one will ever know that you're actually barefoot underneath the skeleton of your shoes. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, big business. Also, it's really comical to me that the husband is wearing socks in the house. So they walk around the city streets barefoot, but draw the line at walking around their own home barefoot. What, is your house dirtier than the fucking city streets? You don't trust your own house floors, but you trust the city streets that are covered in poop and all kinds of other bodily fluids and chemicals and yuckiness? But you get the heebie-jeebies thinking about walking around your own home barefoot. Ooh, I would never walk around here without protection on. I'm double layering my socks today, actually. Do you not clean your own floors or something? It makes no sense to me. That's so weird that they'll wear socks in their house, but not in public. They're just full-blown barefoot, letting it be raw.
This is a huge commitment, but we were willing to make it. These are our favorite shoes. Our shoe collection is worth more than $20,000. But this is a sacrifice we're willing to take because walking barefoot means the world to us.
Rest in peace, 20,000 bones. That's a lot of money to just flush down the shitter just to be able to secretly walk around barefoot. Far be it for me to question what people are passionate about, but why this? You know, I'm a bit of a daredevil myself, a bit of a rebel. I like to walk around barefoot in the comfort of my own fucking home, where it makes sense to get my little hobbit stompers out and just roam around here. Why sacrifice 20 grand just to do it in secrecy? Like, you can't just wear shoes for a little bit. You have to be barefoot all the time. It's almost like a fetish at that point, it feels like. They can't help themselves. It's so weird to me because it's a dangerous thing to do. I remember back in college when my campus would do like shoe drives where we donate shoes. My roommates and I did it once, and we walked back barefoot, and my buddy cut his foot on a piece of broken glass and just gashed that shit open. Now, amplify that danger times 20x because you're just walking around the city streets barefoot. It just doesn't make sense. Plus, you're risking, of course, like disease, infection, and shit. Like, probably get like fucking hookworm and COVID, and those two mash together and form like COVID turbo strain or some shit. I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't compute. You can't just wear shoes for a little while. You have to just ruin 20 grand worth of shoes to be barefoot secretly because businesses don't want you barefoot inside there, which is a totally reasonable thing to not want because it's gross.
The benefits of walking barefoot are priceless, so now our shoes are worth more than money could ever be. So today we got to work and started removing the bottoms.
The benefits of walking around barefoot, huh? That had me scratching at my chinny chin chin, so I did a little research. There are some stated benefits of walking around barefoot on grass, in nature, where, again, that makes sense. Not dirty-ass city streets that are covered in poop and in fucking grime and grease and filth. Or on, like, the floors of businesses, which, again, are going to be covered in all kinds of shit. The benefits of walking around barefoot are minimal at best, but there are some, and it's all in nature. Like, in the forest, on the beach, like, literally anywhere besides just contaminated city streets. This is just vile and disgusting. I bet if you brought out a Geiger counter and held it to this couple, that shit would blast off the charts. They're gonna need Radaway or something after a single trip to the grocery store while barefoot in these incognito boots.
We weren't sure if this was going to be easy or hard, and it ended up being pretty easy. We made little shelves where our toes are and our heels are. We made a little lip on the bottom of the shoe where our toenails will go so they can latch on, so we'll actually be able to hold on to the shoe while trying to walk without the bottom. And we did the same thing for our heels. The experience of cutting off the bottoms of our shoes was very freeing and detoxifying, just like walking barefoot is.
The word detoxify has completely lost all meaning. It's just a useless buzzword now. It's truly baffling how far we've fallen, but that's the beauty of brain rot. Yes, I start every morning with a dirt and urine smoothie while walking around barefoot to improve my connection to the earth and realign my chakras to detoxify my body. Absolute lunacy. You're not detoxifying anything by walking around dirty-ass city streets barefoot. You are actively toxifying yourself, if anything. There's all kinds of sewage and shit that spills onto the pavement that you're now just barefoot raw dogging. And even outside of that, You could step on like a small piece of metal or something, give yourself tetanus. Like, there's so much risk associated with this and no benefit whatsoever. What do you get? The ability to wiggle your toes a little bit in the open air on the pavement? Yippee! It's just so stupid, and they're trying to preach about it like it's a good thing, and this is supposed to be a tutorial for other barefoot enthusiasts. So that way you can go incognito while barefoot in businesses and on the city streets. Who would want that? Why?
So after we cut the bottoms off, we decided to try it out. So we went to our favorite store, Sephora, and as you know, they don't really like us in here without shoes. I needed to grab a few things for a trip we're going on. The experience was absolutely perfect.
I love the dichotomy between we walk around barefoot because it's good to detoxify and it's freeing and whatever, and then going right into Sephora, which has more chemicals than the goddamn plant Homer Simpson works at. Of course, I have no problem with Sephora whatsoever, but I just really would have thought a couple like this that's so desperate to be barefoot that they'll destroy a $20,000 shoe collection just to cut out the soles so they can be barefoot on the grossest surfaces possible would be really apprehensive about going to a store like Sephora, which has like a lot of really unnatural ingredients in a lot of their products. So it was just weird to me. And it starts to make me wonder if this is all just performative. Like, I feel as though there's a chance they don't actually walk around barefoot ever, and this was just for the sake of being quirky and unique on TikTok. And that's also helped by the fact that the dude was wearing socks in his house. If they really loved their bare tootsies out all the time, I bet he probably wouldn't even fucking own socks, let alone wear them in his own house. So I'm starting to think that they're just lying here and this is all just fake, but I'm not entirely sure. Either way, though, it's fucking gross.
The workers came up to us, they talked to us, they even complimented our shoes. I definitely recommend this if you're trying to go incognito barefoot. It's the perfect way to get all the benefits of going barefoot, but also have no one know.
It's also the perfect way to contract the disease if you're looking for a speedrun percentage, because I'm guaranteeing you're going to pick something up along the way here for this journey. What a great tutorial and what a wonderful lesson. I also love how effective this is. Just look at how top secret this is. As her entire foot pokes out the side of this destroyed shoe casing, the corpse of that shoe is just hanging on by a thread here, as her whole foot is exposed. I'm sure nobody knew. I'm sure they were completely in the dark. Of course, the workers, I would imagine, probably saw this, especially because the sound their feet would be making, slapping against the floor. Like, that's not the sound shoes make. I have no doubt they knew, but they probably just didn't want to deal with the headache of confronting people like this about it. Like, hey, excuse me, why are your dogs out underneath these shoes? We really would prefer if you came back later with shoes on. Can you please leave the store? They probably just didn't want to get into any kind of argument with people like this, so they just let it slide and were praying that they'd be in and out quickly for their stupid TikTok video. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because it was a wacky little thing that popped off on Twitter today. That's about it. So yeah. Yesterday, Ava Kris Tyson of the Mr. Beast crew had a ton of evidence surface about horrible behavior with how they communicated with minors, as well as a past of really disgusting shit. A lot of people are calling the Season 7 writers of 2024 internet drama lazy because they're reusing a similar plotline. A lot of people drew comparisons to Dr. Disrespect recently being outed for talking inappropriately to a minor. There are tons of screenshots to showcase exactly what was being said to someone who was between 13 and 14 years old at the time, and it's fucking gross. It's completely unacceptable. Some of them were just public tweets right under everyone's nose. So, Ava Tyson was an adult at this point. Lava was a child. And saying things like, I posted some fire nudes for you, please no share, and then other shit like, but not $5 pathetic JK kissy face, they seem to communicate a lot, even sending Snapchats. So here's one that says, coming for America, and then goes on to talk about being in a group chat and everything. And I've seen a lot of people try and cope and deflect saying like, oh, it's just edgy jokes, people are blowing this out of proportion. What a bunch of fucking nonsense. That's a load of hooey. That's dirty barnacles. That's ridiculous. Under no circumstances should an adult be communicating with a child in any inappropriate manner whatsoever. Edgy jokes between an adult and a child are still fucking gross. That's not like the slam dunk defense that some people seem to think it is. Under no circumstances should an adult be in a group chat with a bunch of children sending coming for America pictures. Like, that's still bad. That's still horrible. That's still really fucking weird. From what I can tell, most of the screenshots and a lot of the compiled evidence comes from this YouTuber, Prism42. This seems to be where most of it started, and since this video dropped, there's been a lot more screenshots that have come out with all kinds of really bad things that were being said to or about minors. I've only shown a couple here, but there's quite a bit more, and they're all just as bad, if not worse. Like, for some reason, Ava Tyson had a habit of calling a 13 or 14-year-old daddy. Like, you can't just write that off as being like quirky, inappropriate, edgy jokes that people are blowing out of proportion. That's unacceptable. It's indefensible. Now, the 13, 14-year-old in question for a lot of these messages is someone that has come forward to give their own accounts of the situation, and according to them, they don't believe that they were groomed or anything bad was done on the part of Ava Tyson or anything like that. And I'll just go ahead and give my take on it here. I talked about it on stream, and I'm not trying to be some kind of armchair psychologist because I'm just, at the end of the day, a little reptile brain idiot. But I really do feel like in a situation like this, it's very difficult to process just how inappropriate or unacceptable something was when you lived it. I imagine that it's very difficult to view this as the person that you communicated to so closely for so long was actually evil or doing things that were wrong. But in reality, no child should have this kind of relationship with an adult where you're joking about sending nudes to a minor or making edgy jokes about coming for America. So while the person here might not feel like a victim, it really is completely unacceptable that Ava Tyson would be communicating with them like this. It really is, no matter how it's spun. Now, it is important to mention that right now, most of the evidence is screenshots, so I guess there is the chance that some could be faked, but some of them seem very hard to fake, like there's a video going through a Snapchat conversation with Ava. There's also confirmed things that were publicly tweeted from their account over the years, which I'll get to now. And it was also revealed that Ava Tyson had a history of being a Shadman enthusiast. Since all of the tweets have been deleted, it makes it very difficult to find the times that they communicated with Shadman or talked about Shadman and the art, but I did find this from Mudahar's video, who went to the Wayback Machine and showcased this tweet. And Mudahar censored it because the character does not appear to be over the age of 18. For those of you that know that name, that might have just triggered a Winter Soldier moment in your brain with your eyes rolling into the back of your skull, because it is so foul. Shadman was an artist who drew child porn. Now, when you hear that, a lot of people think that you're talking about lolly or lolly hentai type shit, which is characters that look like little girls but are actually 5,000-year-old vampires. Like, that's the meme. Fucking sipping from their Mountain Dew going, uncultured swine. You see, it's not actually a real child. This is a victimless crime. This may look like a 4-year-old girl, but you don't understand the lore. She's actually coming from a sophisticated line of goblin ogres, and she is over 400 years old. So it's completely legal, and you're weird for thinking that it's weird. But with Shadman, he wasn't drawing lolly. He was drawing real children sexually. So one of the most infamous cases was when he drew Keemstar's 8-year-old daughter in a pornographic setting. That actual fucking lunatic drew porn of an 8-year-old girl. That's not hearsay or anything. That is something that actually happened. And you know what's even crazier? I talked about this on stream. A lot of people supported him publicly. Like, a lot of people defended that. Back when Shadman dropped that revolting dog shit, there was a lot of people that were pumping their fists saying, "Go Shadman! It's Keemstar, who cares? Doesn't matter, he deserves it anyway. Shadman, do you take requests? Can you do this person's underage daughter next?" He received applause for drawing child porn. Let that shit marinate for a moment. So anyway, Ava Tyson has publicly tweeted about lolly, and in particular, there are tweets of Ava Tyson talking either to or about Shadman. A lot of the tweets are gone now because the Twitter account has been nuked, but there are archives of a lot of them. And one thing that still persists, and one thing that a lot of people have been showing, is that Ava Tyson may have actually commissioned a piece from Shadman, or at the very least, purchased a piece from Shadman. There's a clip from a Mr. Beast video where there is Shadman art hanging on the wall, belonging to Ava Tyson. I censored the close-up of the art for obvious reasons, but this is something that is irrefutable. The only question about Ava Tyson and Shadman's connection is whether or not a piece was commissioned or purchased. But at the very least, a piece was owned by Ava Tyson. And I don't think there's any wiggle room to just explain this away as some kind of innocent whoops-a-daisy moment of being ignorant of what the art was. With Ava Tyson having publicly talked about content and art like that, and then also owning a Shadman piece, I don't think it's some kind of coincidence. Like, I don't think it was an accident and they didn't know Shadman drew child porn. I really don't. And then yet another disturbing video surfaced where they had actually made a video a long time ago that linked to revenge porn of Jeanette McCurdy.
The story is she sent pictures to her boyfriend, her now ex-boyfriend, and he leaked them out. And but the link's in the description if you want to see them. I mean, I'm not endorsing people to go look at somebody else's private business, but I know that you know, people might want to see them, so it's there if you want it.
That's crazy. That's astonishing. Sharing revenge porn publicly and trying to spin it like, well, some people might want to see this, so for you degenerates, I've posted the link in the description. If you want to check that out. But you'd be weird to do that, and I'm not endorsing it. That's unhinged. Completely unhinged. So all of this started to hit the mainstream. More and more people started sharing screenshots as well as other chat logs, all kinds of things with a history of communicating inappropriately with or about minors. And in response, a couple hours ago, Ava Tyson did make a statement, and this is what was said. I would like to apologize for any of my past behavior or comments if it hurt or offended anyone. It was not my intent. Seeing recent events, we've mutually decided it's best I permanently step away from all things Mr. Beast and social media to focus on my family and mental health. That is kind of a textbook non-apology. It doesn't address anything. It doesn't talk about anything. It's just like this blanket boilerplate statement about stepping away. There's no denial of anything, no claims that some of the information is false, made up, fabricated, a lie, a fib, a bunch of malarkey, nothing at all. You would really think that if any of the information was wrong or faked, that would be one of the first things that Ava Tyson would want to set the record straight on. But that didn't happen. Even if it was something like needing more time, I really feel like that would have been expressed in the statement, saying, need more time to talk about all of these things that are incorrect. But again, that's not there. So they're assumed to be all correct at this point, and they're indefensible, the things that have come out here. As I was rendering this video, Ava Tyson dropped more tweets claiming that no one was ever groomed, and then states that the victim vocally supported that that's false. I again, already told you my feelings on that. I really don't think a child who has this kind of relationship with an adult would ever really recognize just how inappropriate it was because it became so normalized to them, which it never should be. It's a horrible thing, and there really is no excusing it in my eyes. Going further, there's an apology about unacceptable social media posts and then saying that it was edgy jokes and that it was unacceptable humor, that it's like a thing of the past and it's been misconstrued into things that didn't happen, and then not wanting the accusations to impact hundreds of people who work at Mr. Beast, which is why Ava Tyson has stepped away. I just don't think you can write off a lot of those social media posts as edgy jokes or edgy humor when you actually owned art from an artist who draws child porn. That's not a joke anymore. Haha, bought some child porn art. Like, that's not exactly side-splitting comedy. Like, I don't really think you can just go ahead and hand wave that as being edgy and like old humor that you've grown from. And then some of the tweets about it and like requests, what's the joke? Like, what's the punchline of that? I really don't think you can just say, oh, it's just edgy jokes that are blown out of proportion. Sorry if people are offended by it. Like, that just doesn't really work to me. As of right now, there's been no response from Mr. Beast or anyone else on the team about all of this. So it remains to be seen whether or not Jimmy or anyone else on the team knew about these things or what's going on there. But as of me making this video, there's still no response yet. So this whole situation is obviously horrible. And there's a little bit more I want to talk about here, and it's something I didn't even think I'd ever need to talk about, but I guess we've reached this point in the internet where this is necessary. I've been being attacked on Twitter, just fucking dogpiled, about my ignoring the situation and refusing to speak on it, being too much of a coward to talk about all this, which is crazy to me. And then people saying like, oh, where was the same energy for where was the same energy that you had for Dr. Disrespect here? And it's crazy that I even have to talk about this. So last night during stream, this story was still breaking. Things were still coming out about this story. And I talked about it on stream last night. The same day all of these pieces of evidence were surfacing. I talked about it immediately. Once I became aware of what the evidence was out there and what the claims were and what was going on, I was talking about it right away. And I even posted a video that is highly edited and short, nice and concise, about the whole bare bones of the situation and my thoughts on it for the second channel, so that way even if you have the biggest brain rot and can't focus on a video for long, you can still finish that whole video and see just how bad this whole Ava Tyson situation is. So I talked about it immediately, but Twitter didn't see that video, and the ones that did wrote it off as, oh, he's only going to put this on his second channel because he's afraid to put it on his main channel. He didn't do that for Dr. Disrespect. He was like that with Dr. Disrespect. You are provably wrong. All you had to do was activate a few fucking neurons in your noodle. Check my Dr. Disrespect video. I posted it at, I think it was 9 p.m. on June 22nd. June 22nd is when my Dr. Disrespect video went up. The allegation against Dr. Disrespect was on June 21st. So what happened is, that allegation came out. I talked about it on stream. Dr. Disrespect made a statement as well the same day that I talked about on stream. Then the following day, almost a full 24 hours later, I made the video talking about it. And in this situation, it is the exact same timeline. I was talking about it as everything was unfolding. I even had a video go up on the second channel going over everything that was coming out, and now I'm making the full video about it 24 hours later. It's the exact same speed and same energy as the Dr. Disrespect situation. And the main person who started this lightning rod of accusations about me ducking it and refusing to address it is fucking Sneeko of all people.
Yo, look out, Moist Critical is not gonna go talk about the Kris situation because he wants to have the Mr. Beast collab. Bro, you're gonna talk about every other trending situation, Dr. Disrespect, Sneeko, anything that goes viral, it goes on your main channel. Kris, the associate of the biggest YouTube channel in the world, you do a 4-minute clip on your second channel. Stop coping and be a journalist if you're gonna be a journalist, or just say that you wanna have the collab. Stop lying.
Jesus Christ, the fucking drool there is gonna drive me insane. I need to go put on the fucking bathrobe here and give him PTSD or something. What do you mean it is a 4-minute clip? Because I did that so people like you who don't pay attention long enough could see my take on it and also get the bare bones information of what makes it so horrible. That's the reason it's a 4-minute clip on the second channel. It was never going to be the only video I made talking about it. I was always going to make a full breakdown of this because it's bad. It's a horrible situation. So yes, you're right. I do talk about like big trending bad shit like Dr. Disrespect or like Cody Ko most recently. I don't know why people thought I wouldn't talk about this. I knew Cody Ko far more than I knew Ava Tyson. I talked to Cody Ko at length one time on his podcast and then one other time in DMs. Ava Tyson, I met 1.5 times. I first met them after a poker game with Mr. Beast. They showed up right at the end, right before I left, and then at the most recent Mr. Beast video, also right when I got out, Ava Tyson showed up, and I talked to them for a couple of minutes. But I never knew Ava Tyson very well. Cody Ko I did, and I still wasn't afraid to talk about how awful his shit was. So I've never been someone to fucking shy away from a bad situation like this just because I know or am familiar with the person that it's about. So I don't know why people thought that that would be the case here. And also for the millionth fucking time, I'm not a journalist. I'm like the Z-tier stupid journalist, like this actual layman fucking CTE riddled idiot that reports on stories, and I talk about them usually to make jokes about them. In rare cases, and recently it's been very common, there's serious stories that I am very passionate about delivering and talking about how shitty they are. So like in a situation like this, yeah, this isn't really a story that I joke a lot about because it is serious. When there is a victim who is a child here, that's something to take seriously. But I'm not a fucking journalist. Most of the shit I talk about is the most inconsequential mumbo jumbo ever, like aliens in warp drives, or that recent story about how scientists discovered hippos can fly because they get airborne for a split second, literally like 1/2 of a frame. They're able to get all 4 little legs off the ground. And I talk about those stories and joke about them. It's just talking about shit to joke about it for the most part, except in cases like this, where it is a serious story that I talk about. Now, Sneeko, I hope you're ready for the cold water here, because I'm going to be brutally honest with you. When this story broke, I thought for sure, I would have actually bet money that you would have been some kind of contrarian talking talking about how this is actually not a big deal and everyone who's pretending to be outraged about it is actually just a hypocrite. Because you have been on this crusade for a while now about not agreeing with the age of consent. So I really thought you'd be talking about how, oh, this is just like Dr. Disrespect, who you ran hard defense for with this imaginary 17-year-old you cooked up in your head based off of one fake email from an anonymous source. And I thought you would be going that angle again, saying like, oh, well, that 13-year-old was probably very mature.
Age of consent should be maturity. It's not even 18 in most states. Why do you even believe that? It's because in Hollywood, it's 18, so that gets pushed everywhere. Most places, 16. And if you question that, then they call you a pedo. I believe the age of consent is the age of maturity. It should be called the age of marriage. Age of consent implies that you're gonna have out of wedlock. I think it's better that people get married at 16, 17 than to have a bunch of premarital until they're 30 and they're washed up and then they get jaded and they're on birth control and they have dried up eggs. I think that's better for society.
He's so pseudo-intellectual that he actually argues for things that defend pedophilia. That's fucking ridiculous. And when challenged on this, it's even worse. So there's an older clip now, it's quite a few months old, where XQC and Destiny actually challenge him on this right to his face, and holy shit, it's bad.
You see how you want to answer the question? You see how he's going to yap and not answer the question? I'm going to ask the same thing when you're done. Go ahead.
I just answered the question. I just told you.
What was the age?
I just told you at a developed age.
Sneeko thinks you should be able to fuck 9-year-olds. That's what Sneeko thinks, and he won't answer that question honestly. Or he's going to have to give a different answer, in which case he's updated his morality. He's updated his views, and that's really uncomfortable for him. You don't have an answer to any of this shit, bro. Go back to fucking that fucking corner in London where you're getting roasted by year 1 debaters on fucking Christianity. This is retarded. I don't know what the fuck you're doing in here.
Okay, so you can leave the call. I wanted to go talk about this word.
I don't want to leave the call. I like hanging out here. I've talked to a lot of pedophiles in the past, so.
Okay.
Okay, Sneeko, I'm actually curious now. What do you think the age of development is?
I just told you. It depends on where you are. It depends on the world.
Then at what stage do you think somebody is developed in it? What stage of development? Because there's a lot of stages of development.
It varies. I don't think
varies. It varies on what?
I think it varies on the age.
It varies on the age?
It depends on where you are.
You need to have set ages for that. There are stages of development. As a child, an adolescent,
you can hear him start to snivel in the background there as he's sucking up snot from his nose, getting cooked, and his brain is fucking overheating, malfunctioning, trying to formulate some kind of response to the easiest question in the world about what he thinks the age of consent should be. He keeps talking about the age of development and then can't even put a number on it. So everyone, please feel free to ask Sneeko what he thinks the age of consent should be if you want to see a human being fucking glitch out and malfunction like an Oblivion NPC. Can't answer the most basic question in the world. That is concerning. You realize how deranged that makes you look, Sneeko? That makes you look like an actual danger to society, that you don't agree with the age of consent and try and argue around it. That's what every pedophile ever that Chris Hansen talked to would do. Like, you're a fucking weirdo. So for you, of all people, this fucking putrid vermin, this absolute slimy worm, to have the gall to say that I only care about the Mr. Beast collab, thus this whole story is just relegated to, you'd never use that word's too big for you. This whole story is just put on his second channel where no one's gonna see it because it's safer that way so he can keep the Mr. Beast collab alive. He's afraid, he's a coward for it. He has no problem abandoning his morals and defending blatant pedophilia, brushing it under the rug as long as it means it keeps the Mr. Beast collab alive. For you to make insinuations like that and even claims like that is fucking unhinged, considering you make actual pedophile defense arguments constantly, and you have publicly put on the clown makeup and worn white knight armor complete with the shield to defend Dr. Disrespect when he himself publicly admitted to messaging a minor inappropriately. It's fucking insanity. It makes me want to spit that I even have to talk about this, but it became such a huge, fiery issue on Twitter about me specifically that I felt the need to have to include this in this video, which should have been entirely focused on everything Ava Tyson has done and why it is so shitty. But now I've had to dedicate a sizable chunk to talking about these claims against me, about how I'm not going to talk about it and was not going to talk about it until pressure from Twitter forced me to, even though I had talked about it as it was developing and even mentioned on stream I was going to make a video on it. So to bring it all back to what should actually be the focus, the Ava Tyson situation and how horrible it is, I believe that it is an unforgivable thing that has been done. Talking to minors inappropriately is horrible. And having this kind of continued relationship with a minor where you're sharing edgy and inappropriate jokes back and forth and being in group chats and voice chats with children and saying gross things around them is so weird that it is not okay under any situation. It's disgusting behavior. And publicly supporting an artist who draws child porn and even owning art from that artist and talking about art like that and the revenge porn, all of it is very fucking bad. It's horrible. I'm not pulling any punches here on my feelings around it. So yes, I wanted to talk about this, and that's really about it. See ya. In the pursuit of clout, nothing is off limits. Even if someone is dead, that doesn't exclude them from being part of an epic YouTube video. That body will be filmed and paraded around for some views online. No price is too high for YouTubers to pay if it means views on their channel. You remember Daddy05, the channel where it was a family abusing their kids for views? Well, that's not exactly uncommon, I would say. There's a lot of really bad family content on the platform. Not all of it's bad. There is some like genuinely wholesome families. But one thing that I've always took issue with some of these channels is it feels like they use their kids as a prop for their own narcissism and just using their kids for views. I sometimes just get the impression the parents don't even view their kids as human beings, just these little piggy banks that are like a vessel for them to make money off of. And today we took a disturbing look behind the scenes of one of these family channels where the creator accidentally uploaded an unedited version of a video that she made. It was about heartbreak in the family, and in it, she was using her son's crying as part of her thumbnail, trying to direct him while he was really having a very rough time. It's pretty fucking hard to look at, so just a fair warning there. And I have to say, it seems awful to be part of one of these families that records everything, even like the saddest moments of your life, and tries to use it for views. Like, imagine you're crying, and your mom's like, okay, keep up that energy, keep crying, I'm gonna get the iPhone real quick. Okay, now say, I'm sad, super sad, but make sure to subscribe because it'll make me happy. You know, like that's a fucking nightmare. I'd rather be part of the Manson family than a family vlog channel. Like, it just seems horrible. See, some of these families record even the saddest moments of your life because to them, that's money in the bank. And I think that shit's awful. I also think it's awful that some of you out there haven't subscribed to the Huge Charles channel. I'll make sure to put a link in the description below so you can check that out. That's some good old wholesome family fun.
Can't wait for her to bring her home and be part of our family. Put your head right here. Almost pray for us. We appreciate it. I love you guys. Bye. Come here. Come closer for the video. Come closer. Come closer. Come closer. Put your head right here. Come closer. Closer down. Put your head down here. Act like you're crying. Really quick. I am crying. Go like this. No, Mom, I'm actually seriously crying. No, I know, but go like this for the video.
Imagine being this devoid of basic emotions, where you've completely thrown away humanity in the pursuit of your internet fame. Obviously, the kid is really crying. He even says, like, no, Mom, look, I'm actually crying. But she's like, oh, no, that's good. Yeah, no, keep pretending. Like, she can't even wrap her head around the idea that her kid might actually be emotional. And instead of turning off the camera to help her son, she's trying to use that to make a thumbnail.
Go like this. Put one hand up. Go like this. No, go like this. Put your hand like this. But let them see your mouth. Let them see your mouth. No, Mom, I'm actually crying. Look at me. 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 I'm actually crying. I know. Look at me. Look at me. Look at the camera. Look at the camera.
Exquisite work, masterful directing here. She really captured the misery and trauma wonderfully in the thumbnail. No doubt, easy million views there. Do you think for the next one, perhaps, we can go to a funeral and line up the grieving family around the open casket, maybe stand the body up a little bit, and then they all just look really sad, maybe looking down a bit? I think she's got a great career here in Hollywood, no doubt. Very impressive work, for sure. Some people, I swear to God, would dig up the grave of their grandfather, get his corpse out, and fucking pour slime down his throat for like a slime challenge if it meant extra views on their channel. Like, there is nothing sacred They will do anything for fucking views. Here she saw an opportunity like, oh, starts rubbing her hands together like a cartoon villain. How can I make the most amount of views off of this horrible situation? I know. Let's make sure that the audience can see my son is crying, and then I'll cry. But listen here, Junior, if we don't get more tears out of this, we're gonna fucking starve. Do you want that on your conscience? Then you'll have something to really cry about, because you'll be going hungry if this thumbnail isn't fucking sad enough. So you're gonna have to fucking cry more, now! And then look at the camera, please. Okay, now come here. Okay, good. Alright, excellent. Obviously, she was made aware of her whoops-a-daisy here, the little chess blunder, pretty quickly. I think she deleted the video within 30 minutes. She then reposted it and then just took down the video altogether and addressed it as quickly as possible with this video where she talks about how disappointed she is in herself. I'll play a short clip from that.
We're very upset. We've been crying all day. It has been extremely scary. They don't know if she's gonna make it. Honestly, completely worn out, emotional, crying the whole day. I had Christian on my shoulder and I was like, here, come here, come pose for the thumbnail with me after the video was done. And that was so disgusting of me. I should not have done that at all. We were both already so sad and upset and in such a vulnerable state today.
So the situation was their new puppy contracted parvo before they got the dog, so the dog wasn't doing super well, so the whole family was upset and she was emotional all day, and then she talks about how gross it was that she did this in the first place and left it in the video, and how disgusting the behavior was. It's not like there's anything she could have said to make the situation better or a way to justify that behavior. And she doesn't try to. I mean, like, how are you going to fucking spin that where you're like the hero? Like, no, you see, the reason I was trying to direct my kids crying for a thumbnail is actually because terrorists were holding the dog hostage and they demanded at least 1 million views on this video. So I had to do everything in my power to make it happen in order to save the dog's life. You know, like, there's nothing she could have done to justify anything in the video. All she could really say is that it was gross, it was stupid, and she's sorry. That is really all she could do in the situation. One thing that I would also like to mention is the fact that she keeps saying how emotional she was and that she was like really crying all day and just super emotional overall. I don't necessarily get that perspective from the short clip I watched, because it seems like she wasn't crying and it seems like she hadn't been crying. It looks like she hasn't cried since Jersey Shore got canceled. So I don't know if she necessarily was that bothered by it, or if like the entire day she had planned on making a video about the situation, so she went into like YouTuber mode where she wasn't allowing herself to be emotional on camera. I don't really know. But overall, there's just not a whole lot she could say or do here to make anything that much better. So she's just upfront saying everyone was right, this was gross, this was stupid, and I'm sorry. She doesn't try and like spin this in any way like, no, you guys are wrong, this didn't happen that way. She's just upfront like, yeah, this is fucking gross and disgusting. So, I mean, that's good at least that she admits that. But one thing that left a sour taste in my butthole, though, is that in the apology video, she also brings up the harassing DMs and shit that she's gotten. Now, of course, I never encourage harassment. This is also why I'm not putting her name anywhere in this video. I hate when people go out of their way to harass someone or send death threats or any fucking degenerate garbage like that. She's absolutely right to call those kind of things out. But why do it in the apology video? It kind of makes it feel like, okay, I fucked up, but you should also feel bad for me because as a result of this, I'm getting this kind of horrible stuff. So I just don't think this was the right time to talk about that. The focus of the video should have stayed on you owning up to the mistake. That it shouldn't have shifted to like, but I'm also a victim. I just don't think that was the right call there. In a comment, she also mentions that she'll no longer feature her son on her channel, because I'm assuming, the comments are turned off here, I'm assuming a lot of people had the same impression I did, where they felt that she was using her kid for views. And it's hard to really argue that when you have this footage here, where she is quite literally using her son for a more attention-grabbing thumbnail by trying to manipulate his misery for the audience. So I think that's also a good call to steer away from featuring your kids like that, especially if they might not want to. Like, it doesn't seem like the kid really wants to be in the thumbnail when he is crying, and he has to keep reiterating the point like, no, Mom, look, I'm actually crying, and then she still keeps trying to direct him. So I think her also saying that her son will no longer be used on her channel like that is a good thing. Overall, it's a fucking terrible situation, and it's hard to really take her at her word that this is like a one-time thing. Like, because now that you've seen behind the curtain here, now that you've seen how the sausage is made, as the expression goes, it's hard to really be like, oh, okay, I'll take her at her word that this has never happened before, where she's not, you know, using her kids or using horrible situations for the sake of views. The whole perspective is a bit baffling to me, where you'd have like this awful situation with the puppy and a family vlog channel's like, that's a good video. a crying video. And it's not the only channel to do that. I remember there was another channel only like a week or two ago. I'm not going to show anything from this at all, but it was a family vlog channel. They were going on this fucking multi-million-dollar vacation or some shit, but they arrived to the airport too late, so they were about to miss their flight. And the dad brings out the fucking camera and he films his children really sad, his wife really sad, and him being aggressive towards the employees that are telling them, like, look, it is literally too late. You have arrived too late to get on this flight. And he makes this whole video just being rude to them and filming his family being sad. Like, what the fuck do you... that entitlement is wild. Like, what the fuck do you want them to do? Ground the plane? Like, no, the pilot's not allowed to take off. Fuck it, this family channel has 1 million subs. We have to allow them on and give them first class. Kick everyone else off the plane. Like, I don't know what they were expecting. They arrived too late. And B, what blows me away is that the dad would even think, like, this is a video. My family is really upset, and I'm going to be rude to these people. That is a video for the family channel, baby. Bang. Like, I just don't get it. And it's the same thing in this situation. Like, this puppy is in rough shape, and we're all very upset about it. That's a banger video. Let's all start crying on camera. I don't get it. It's astonishing. It really is. I don't really have words to describe it because I just don't understand why anyone would think that's a good idea. This situation was a really fucking gross one. Hopefully this really is the only time she's used her kid like this. Hopefully there's not anything awful going on behind the scenes like this. So yeah, that's about it. See ya. This is a video I probably should have made 2 years ago, but the person it's about is a parasite who thrives off of attention and controversy. He himself comes forward and says he only does these things so people will make videos about him. His name is Maximilian Muss. He's the oh yeah guy. It's the only thing he's ever done. It's the 15 minutes of fame that he continues to milk the very dry titties of to this day to command a troop of 13-year-olds to harass, dox, threaten, and do all kinds of deplorable shit to other people online from all sizes. People that have 2 viewers on Twitch to big streamers to big content creators. He does some absolutely degenerate shit, and I truly think he is one of the most vile, foulest people to ever use the platform and abuse the power that he found online. I was never a fan of his content, but I never really had a problem with him as a person. It wasn't my cup of cum, but I didn't care. I don't watch it, it didn't matter to me. He even used to stop into my streams when I streamed on YouTube and just be super nice. So I had a positive impression of the guy until he decided to open Pandora's box and create a Discord channel for his YouTube community with the sole purpose of harassing and bullying as many people as he could find online. And he tried to weaponize them by having them go to streamers' streams and spam racist and homophobic shit by his orders and spam Max Gang with it, hoping to get the streamers banned for it. And from what I remember, some of them did get banned, but the ones that didn't just had a really bad time because he had the whole Discord go bully them. He did this to my channel back in the day. He did it recently, which is why I'm talking about it now.
Of the Discord, which is the oh yeah guy. Now, this is what he does. So if you read the post, it says, everyone, go to this live stream, type Weast Raid, Weast Gang, and say homophobic stuff, and spam, and be racist, and sexist, and mean, and also Max Gang. And then
the reason why he had them saying Weast Gang is because that's a YouTuber that he didn't like, so he wanted to make it sound like all of the homophobic and racist shit was coming from that guy's community, hoping he'd get banned for it. He did this for other streamers as well, and he'd target small streamers and hopefully get that streamer plus the guy that he was impersonating banned as well. It was really just deplorable shit. And yeah, this is some horrible shit, but it gets worse. He also would have his followers go to other people's channels and force them to do things. Like there was a man that had a mental illness that he went to the channel and forced him to eat his own shit on stream. He was threatening and having his community threaten to find and kill him if he didn't do everything Max said.
So, hold Mr. BTFO close to your mouth. It's time to eat him. Don't eat them. Just push through. You don't give a fuck. Eat all of it.
For obvious reasons, I had to crop the video so you can't see him eating his own shit, but he also had him right on his stomach in his own feces. It's just extremely fucked up, and Max is laughing about it the whole time and threatening him through it. It is really hard to sit there and watch. It's like watching a fucking ISIS video. Like, it looks like this guy's being held captive by Max. There was also this content creator that Max targeted, a very small creator who was just making some things because he was having fun. He took his whole community to bully the shit out of him relentlessly. He ended up crying and profusely apologizing, begging for the bullying to stop, which of course Max didn't.
Forgiveness. Just please stop harassing me, please. I beg for forgiveness. Please have mercy. Please.
The guy was going through a really hard time. He started apologizing profusely, begging for the bullying to stop, which Max didn't let it. I'm not going to show you any of that because it's beyond disturbing. Maximilian Muss would also have his community reach out to YouTubers and have a guy put things up his asshole, take it out and eat it for them, to try and disturb them and shock them. He would have live streams where he'd have his fans get naked and they'd make fun of the naked fans and have them do other gross shit, usually to their butthole. It's really fucking weird shit. Over the course of a couple months, Max then had his community dox Weist and then threatened to go to his house and kill him and his family. He then had his community target Weist's girlfriend, whose father had recently passed away, to insult her father and bully the shit out of her about her dad's passing. And he had this to say about it: there's no remorse because this guy is truly trash.
The situation was bully Weist's girlfriend about her father, who had recently passed away.
Okay. And then I saw this opportunity where she was like, oh, my dad died, and I sent some people, and, you know, that was because I wanted him to make a video. I still think maybe I probably shouldn't have done it. It was not my best moment, but I would do it again.
There were a number of articles written about Max at the time by sites like Dixerto, talking about the drama and how Max had been accused of harassing Weist. Instead of denying it, he just did interviews where he shamelessly admitted that he had done it and that he didn't care.
If I got him banned, honestly, I think that would have been funny. I don't really care that much about him.
Max desperately craves attention. As he self-admits, the only thing he cares about is people talking about him and making videos and sucking his dick and sucking his asshole. That's all he cares about. So making a video is exactly what he wanted me to do. But the reason I'm doing it is because I feel like his audience that he has in his Discord right now, the one that's attacking my Discord because he told them to, probably doesn't know what kind of person Max actually is. I feel like the majority of people would be shocked to learn these things about Max, especially his stance on child pornography being shared in his community. Now, everything I've talked about up till this point isn't even the whole story behind this hemorrhoid. This is simply just the cherry on top of the massive queef cake that is Max. And that brings us to the reason and the biggest problem I have with Max and why I'm making this video today. He's recently popped his head out after hibernating for over a year, stewing in his own bodily fluids and filth, and he wanted to feel powerful again, so he set up another Discord to have people go in and harass streamers, and I was one of the targets. And when they targeted me, I mentioned saying Max Gang is like saying you're proud to be a pedophile. And the reason why I said this is because Maximilian himself will tell you the reason he remakes the Discord so many times is because his community shares so much child porn that he has to take it down because he worries that he himself will get arrested for it. Unfortunately, Max has scrubbed his entire Reddit and made it private, so all of the posts that were talking about the child porn plague that was sweeping through Maximilian's community, they're no longer there. His own posts about his stance on it are no longer there. However, I did find one thread that he overlooked where it does talk about it. It's this right here, where they're talking about someone that was sharing child porn, and that was the reason it was taken down. This is the only one that survived the purge of Maximilian's subreddit, and I don't know how Max handles these things these days, but back then, he used to defend it, saying that the sharing of child porn was just an inside joke of his community. And he also took down people's videos that were talking about this. Like, here's a link to one, which is no longer available because Max struck it down. People were calling this out. People were talking about how Max is cultivating a community of people that are sharing child porn. Now, while you can't control every lunatic that's gonna watch your dog shit Fortnite trolling videos, you can control your response to it by banning them and making a statement saying that this shit is not okay. I've never seen Max say that. The only statements I saw him make in the past were that it's just jokes, and that's why he's remaking the servers. That's beyond fucked up, Max. It's an actual fucking felony. You can't just say, oh, no. You see, the child porn, it was just a goof. It was just for laughs, you know? Why aren't you laughing? Now, maybe Max handles these things totally different these days. Maybe he's went on a full soul-searching journey, locked himself in a sensory deprivation tank for a full year to find himself, and he realizes that the sharing of child porn isn't just hearty giggles and that it's wrong. Perhaps. though it doesn't seem like he's any different than he used to be 2 years ago, considering he is still making these discords and having his community harass people and do deplorable things on his behalf. And he still makes weird jokes about himself being a pedophile. Like, here's what he said in his Discord after I said what I said on stream. Like, what the fuck is this, Max? Ah, classic side-splitting comedy from Max. Ha ha ha. Yeah, you're a pedophile. Ah, ha 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 ha. Good one, Max. So yeah, this is the Max that I knew, which is why I said those things about his community. Now, I do want to apologize because I shouldn't have made it a full blanket, because I know for 100% fact there's a lot of people in his Discord and in his community that don't know these things about Max, and I don't think they would feel comfortable supporting someone that thinks child pornography is just a joke in his following. That doesn't strike me as something many people agree with. So I do want to apologize to people that I hurt by saying those things when you probably just didn't know these things about Max to begin with. If you only watch his shitty content, you don't know what he's doing on Discord, and I realize that now, so I do want to apologize for that. However, if the community has to be remade over 50 times on Discord because child porn keeps getting shared, wouldn't you say there's a problem with that? I mean, you probably wouldn't, Max, because you used to defend it saying that it's just jokes, but most sane people would probably say that there's a big issue. But anyway, I just wanted to share some of these. This isn't everything. He's been doing this for years on a private Discord that he only allows X amount of people in for like an hour, and then he shuts it all off. He doesn't do any of this on YouTube. He doesn't do any of this publicly because he knows how fucked up it is. And I do want to again apologize to people that didn't know about these things and just think I was insulting them. I understand that not everyone was aware of these things about Max. There's a lot more, but it'd be like an hour-long video to go through all of it. So just understand that I didn't mean it personally towards people that didn't know this dark side of Max, where he's a Sith Lord of actual degeneracy. But yeah, anyway, that's about it. See ya. We've seen time and time again road rage just break people's brains. There's something about that anger that is so potent that it has people just do the most unhinged things. Like a week ago, I made that video on the Florida man road rager who got so upset he dropped his britches and started shaking his weenie at a family in a car. There's just something about road rage that has people snap and get real freaky like they just took K2. And now today we're talking about another incident here with the infamous Delco Pooper. Just look at this menace. Look how proud she looks of herself. Some of you might know her by other names like Sally the Stinker. Probably don't know her by that name, I just made it up. But the point is, she has now rose to infamy because a video has surfaced where, in a bout of road rage, she approaches her opponent's car, takes down her britches, and then aims the brown balloon not at the hood and blasts it. And I mean like Nickelodeon Slime Time blasts it with her poop. Fecal matter all over the hood of that car. And then she was arrested for it. It's very interesting stuff, but there's actually more lore behind it than you would expect. You see the video of the lady who shit on who shit on a car like projectile type? Yeah, I was talking about her during the watch party. I forgot her name. But yeah, she like fucking Cleveland steamered a vehicle. It was incredible. That one was awesome. That's all hell breaking loose. Doubt I can show the video. Well, maybe this. The news probably censored it. It's really cool. She fucking shotgun blasts it with poop.
She is seen defecating on a car hood.
Biological warfare.
After an apparent dispute with the driver. NBC 10's Lily Zhang was in Prospect Park as the suspect was taken into custody.
Wow, I didn't read her quote. So the pooper was identified as 44-year-old Christina Solometto of Ridley Park, taken into custody last week, charged with a string of offenses including criminal mischief, disorderly conduct, harassment, indecent exposure, and depositing waste on a highway. Is that a... Can't say I've seen that charge before, but her statement, she told authorities it was clean poop, I didn't even have to wipe. Wow. She stated, I wanted to punch her in the face, but I pooped on her car instead and went home. I'm gonna tell you right now, Christina, ain't no such thing as a clean poop. No such thing as a free meal. And it was actual diarrhea. That's like the furthest thing from clean. She just lets it crust.
The police chief for Prospect Park says he has seen some road rage cases. That video shows.
God, look at the way she approached. Oh man, yeah.
Shows a woman.
The full video, you can see it where she's like walking up, hands on her britches. She's charging her ult, and then she just in one fell swoop drops Trow, and she just blasts it like a grenade going off on the hood of the car. It was unbelievably impressive.
Identified Thursday as Christina Salameto walking to another woman's car. The 44-year-old sits on the hood, or not showing the most graphic parts of the video.
And again, that's not an accurate statement. She doesn't really, I mean, I guess she kind of sits on the hood of the car, but it's more so she's like in front of it, and she just explodes it out like a Roman candle.
Including when she appeared to defecate on the car.
I like how she said appeared to defecate.
I know there's
We're not sure what it was.
Puns, innuendo, and the same sense. Like, to be able to poop on a car like that was impressive, but it was disgusting.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
crazy. She had to go.
Thanks, Pat.
Christina, do you have a comment? Salameto was brought to the Prospect Park Police Department Thursday in handcuffs, offering no remarks.
What is the charge?
She faces a number of charges,
enjoying a shit, a succulent runny poop,
depositing waste on a highway.
The recognition a town gets over this kind of thing, and sometimes this is how it presents.
You gotta see the video where they arrest her. Someone asked her what she ate that day. Oh, they got boots on the ground for the actual arrest itself, too? Alright, I gotta watch that then. I highly encourage you to check out the video. It's one of the more impressive uses of the human colon, I would say.
Can you tell us what happened?
The lady chased me. She chased me and I asked her not to attack me.
That is 44-year-old Christina Salameto being
There is no regret on that face.
police car, but you may know her by this now viral video. Police say the Ridley Park mother is the woman.
Look at how quickly she gets in and out. This one's censored a little more generously. She's in and out in like 10 seconds, and she does all the dirty deeds immediately. The speed is impressive. Like, honestly, everything about it was about as best it could go for her.
As she was getting arrested, Salameto says,
I have a sickness.
She didn't elaborate on the sickness, but the bizarre case has now gotten international attention. Not the kind this police...
Wonder what sickness that is. That's a blunderbussy. Well, that's certainly one word for it. I'm sure we'll hear that nomenclature used in court when an expert witness is called to the stand. People can shit in a thunderbox, however, not on a car when they gotta go. Where's the justice? The hell is even that? What is a thunderbox? People can shit in a thunderbox. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I got it.
Can you tell us what happened?
The lady chased me. She chased me and I asked her not to attack me.
She chased you?
I have a sickness.
Oh, that's the whole thing.
You said she chased you?
Yeah, she chased me. And I got out and begged her to stop.
Better to do. Listen to her side of the story.
Yeah, I love that. This is biased. You haven't even heard Delco Pooper's side of things. What do you... Stop it! You can't possibly form your opinion on a 44-year-old woman shitting on the hood of a car without hearing why she did it. The plot has been getting thicker every day. A reporter just discovered she's a foot fetish OnlyFans model, and he legit asked her if he's willing to make scat porn for him. The article is called "We Spoke with the Delco Pooper." What? Oh, here, is it from, Philly Magazine? Oh yeah, here. Wait, is this it? Must be. We spoke with the alleged Delco Pooper. I like how it's alleged as if there's someone else that might have been responsible for the shitting. We don't know if it was her or not. We're not positive. Though she did openly admit to it. And we have her on camera doing it. Could have been anyone, though. Maybe a frame job. My timing was a little off last night. Phone rang just before 5 p.m. Missed the call. It turns out it was from Christina Salameto, woman charged with being the Delco Pooper. Sent her a message earlier in the day when I learned her identity, but before court records confirmed it, she called me via FaceTime from her Facebook account under Christina M. Shithead. What? Well, that's also her Instagram handle. Maybe she really does have a sickness. Maybe she is like an actual scat fetish performer or something. Imagine you trace her origins back to like 2 Girls, 1 Cup or something. I reached out to her again later in the evening. She wrote back, "I'm lawyered up." This suggests she wasn't going to say anything else, but then she had another thought. "I was not the angry one." She's referring to the other party in the road rage incident. Well, no one ever claimed she was angry, just that she was shitting. So she runs an OnlyFans account named Neen, with the handle Neen's Toes. You can subscribe for $8 per month. From her OnlyFans description, "Hello fans, Neen here. Now I'd love to show you my pretty toes decorated with your favorite color nail polish. Sometimes decorated in jewelry. Tiptoe with me and you'll see. Come with my feet and toes on a fabulous journey beyond your wildest dreams. We'll also take special requests. Don't be shy, just ask." Huh. Wait, this is real fucking journalism. I felt like it was not only ethical, but indeed my avowed journalistic duty to get to the bottom of this. Regarding your OnlyFans account, I know that some women on OnlyFans specialize in scatological porn. I texted the accused Delco pooper. Given the events of your week, I was wondering if that's something you delve into. A brief pause and then, "You want me to fucking shit on you? I want 5K and I'm bringing a bodyguard." Okay, the bodyguard's not necessary. You really think someone that likes to get shit on is going to be like a threat? That's going to be like the most weak-willed human being of all time. That is a broken human being. What an interesting twist. So if someone asked you to shit on them, you would go alone. I'd probably bring a friend, just because it'd be so silly. But I don't know about a bodyguard. But yeah, I probably wouldn't go alone. That's fair. How'd that conversation even go if you had to bring a friend? About if someone paid me $5,000 to shit on them? They'd probably just want like a cut. I don't think it'd be that weird of a conversation. A couple days ago on stream, chat was telling me about something pretty gross. So fair warning, this topic's a little yucky. If you've got a sensitive stomach, this one might make you a bit uneasy, a bit queasy, perhaps. I'm gonna get a little political here for a moment, so really brace yourself. Just grip the sides of your chair real hard so you don't fall over. It's gonna get spicy. I think under no circumstances should a politician be allowed to run if they have a documented history of smearing poop on their body. And you know what, that may have angered a few people out there, but you know what, you sensitive souls, I'm gonna go even harder on this. You can't stop me, I don't care who it offends. I think if you have a documented history of eating shit, that should also disqualify you. And if in some unholy circumstance, you are an individual who has both smeared shit on their body and consumed feces, you need to be admitted, like institutionalized ASAP. I'm talking about a German politician who went viral like a week ago, and I just learned about him like 3 days ago. His name's Martin. He had videos and photos of himself come out where he covers his whole body in shit. Apparently, he even covered a dildo in poop and started inserting it into himself. He put a bunch of poop on his mustache and gave himself like a Hitler stash of shit. And then his videos that he posted went viral where he went into a public bathroom and started licking the toilets. Like, not just the toilet seat. He was licking crusty urine out of the toilet bowls and then, like, licking the toilet brush as if it was a lollipop. It is revolting. Absolutely revolting. Now, some of you may have seen this floating around on Twitter because a couple of the infamous rage bait Twitter accounts were saying shit like, "Why are all lefties like this?" and then posting the video of the guy, like, licking the toilets and shit. Martin is, I suppose, I don't know if he's like excommunicado, like it's something out of John Wick here, a candidate for the Free Democratic Party, or FDP, which I'd never heard of, so I looked into it a little bit, and from what I've read, they've got pretty much every label under the sun. Like, it started as a liberal party, but in modern times it's more leaning towards center-right because it's conservative fiscal policies. Like, it's all over the place, but regardless, it's fucking cringe to be using this very unhinged individual to represent, like, oh, look at, this is all of them, all poop eaters. Like, it's so fucking lame. This is an unhinged maniac that I think has transcended party lines, where it's a bipartisan perspective where no one's going to like this. There's not going to be many people championing for the toilet licking goofball. But anyway, I want to show you the videos. I can't show you the poopy pics, but I will talk about those in a bit more detail after I show you the video. So here's from the stream when we watched it. Do you see the video of the German politician licking a public toilet? Bro looked really into it. Licking public toilet seat or like the actual toilet bowl itself? Let me take a peek. I did not see it though. A German politician filmed himself licking public toilets for God knows what reason. Well, we don't need God to tell us the reason. I'm sure this guy did, right?
Hier auf dem Bahnhofsklo.
That doesn't look like a punishment. That man is super into it. He looks of sound mind and body. He filmed himself licking the public toilets of a railway station. Of a railway station? Wow, that's significantly more foul than I would have expected. He chose Ultra Nightmare Mode public toilets for this. Hey, can't fault the heart. He said, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it big. In one clip, however you say his last name, was seen singing the Nazi-era German national anthem along with... What is this word? I don't even know a bad word that starts with M. Motherfucking rectally with a sex toy? Oh, masturbating rectally with a sex toy. So it was more than just licking toilets. This guy had a full-blown episode here. His act of licking the metal fittings of a urinal and a seated toilet received disgust by several by several users on social media sites. Only several. Only a few people were disturbed by this toilet licking. Everyone else was totally fine with it. He also made a mustache from feces while role-playing as former Chancellor Adolf Hitler. What the fuck? If this guy doesn't get elected, then there is no justice in the world. This is incredible. What a great candidate. Where can I find his poop mustache? No, I won't show his poop mustache. I want to see it for myself is all. This is for my own enjoyment and I'll describe it to you. Oh, wow, that article didn't quite fully explain it. It's not like he just put poop on his mouth. He covered his whole body in shit. Well, I'm not too familiar with Martin, but now I am a little bit. And I don't really like it. He wouldn't get my vote. That video forced him to retire. Something tells me, and this is just a hunch, I'm not familiar with the political landscape of Germany. Something tells me just by listening to him for a second, right before he starts moaning into the urinal as he licks it clean, I feel like he probably wasn't in a good position to win regardless. Just a hunch. Just a hunch. Since all of this came out, there hasn't been a peep from Martin. He's off the grid right now. Probably purchased a shack in the middle of the woods somewhere and he's living out his days as a lumberjack with no electricity and no connection to the outside world. Because this is one of those things that you can't really come back from. It is so unbelievably gross that it changes the way people would look at you forever, I imagine. So, the poop pics. I can't find any information about who the feces belong to, if it's his own brand, like if it came from his colon, or if it's a third-party pooper. Like, there's no information about if he covered himself in his own shit or somebody else's. Both are truly horrific, but I think if it was someone else's, it would be significantly worse. This is a true full-blown one politician, one cup scenario here, but instead of eating shit like ice cream, he just put it all over every crevice of his body. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. Those pictures I was not expecting to be as bad as they were. Like, I watched Harlem Shake poop, and it made me laugh. Like, it's gross, but, like, that made me giggle. This had me recoil. I was stunned. It was yucky. So, anyway, since all this has happened, there hasn't really been any follow-ups that I can find. Maybe in, like, German outlets somewhere, but they haven't been translated to English, so I'm still kind of in the dark on what exactly the status is with Martin and his, like, political campaign. The only little tidbit of information I can find is that the Free Democratic Party said that they're considering consequences, but I don't know if they've gone through with them. And also that was reported like right after all of these started blowing up a week ago. So I imagine if there were consequences, they'd probably have already happened by this point. But again, I can't find any further updates on it. I have to imagine, though, this has truly taken a huge hit to his candidacy here. I did see a couple of German commenters joking about this, saying like, man, I'm real tired of this shit, and making some quirky quips like that, and that had me giggling a bit. But yeah, that's kind of where the story's at right now. I just had to talk about this a little bit because I saw another headline about it today, and it reminded me of just how gross it was, so thought I'd share it. That's about it. So yeah. I couldn't decide if this was a good idea for a video to make just because of how dark and disturbing it is, but earlier today I saw a thread on Twitter going around listing the most evil artists and musicians of all time, and absent from the list was by far the most evil singer to ever hit the mainstream, Ian Watkins. And I was just shocked that not a lot of people seem to know about this. This was a story I followed as it unfolded back in 2012 because Ian Watkins was the frontman to my favorite band when I was a kid, Lost Prophets. In fact, if there's any archaeologists watching this and want to unearth some unholy relics, if you're able to find any re-uploads of my old Gears of War montages from 2007 and 2008, you'll hear Lost Prophets music that they're set to and edited in sync with. I used their music all the time in videos growing up because I was such a massive fan, so you can imagine how fucking disgusted I was when I learned the truth behind their singer. Ian Watkins' crimes are some of the most depraved I've ever read about, and in fact, the senior investigator said it was the most disturbing child abuse evidence he had seen in nearly 30 years on the force, and it's not an exaggeration. Ian Watkins was a serial child sexual abuser and even convinced some of his fans that were mothers to give up their kids to him to abuse, and would even convince the mothers to abuse their own children on video calls that he'd masturbate to. His sex crimes spanned years and even included the sexual abuse of a 10-month-old baby and attempted rape of a baby. Not only were his crimes some of the worst you could possibly imagine, but he was blatantly open about them as well. He'd even brag about fucking kids to some of his ex-girlfriends at the time. I feel like if the police officers had just asked him, hey, are you having sex with minors? He would have hit them with a, hell yeah, brother, and then went up for a high five. The whole story of Ian Watkins and his arrest is also the story of terrible police work from the department. There were years of reports and people desperately trying to get him behind bars, and they just wouldn't look at the evidence. They refused to look at all of the overwhelming evidence that was constantly being provided to them. The reason he ended up getting arrested was on unrelated drug charges, and they just happened to find this absolute fucking mountain, like a goddamn Mordor. They wandered in there and happened to find all of this child abuse evidence, but they were there for drug reasons and continued to turn the other cheek and ignore all of the reports coming from victims or people that had already compiled evidence and submitted it to them. Now, like I said, he wasn't very secretive with what he was doing. He wasn't exactly like some kind of cunning, sly, criminal mastermind. He was very open with the fact that he was a pedophile. Just look at this excerpt here. Look at one of the passwords he'd use for his computer. Ian Watkins is a sick psychopath who's currently serving 35 years in jail, which isn't nearly enough for his crimes. And he's not remorseful about it either. Like, just read this quote here, where he said he did it for the mega lols, talking about abusing and raping kids. So anyway, after reading that Twitter thread about evil artists and musicians, I really think it's worth talking about this guy and his history, since it seems it flew under the radar for a lot of people. So I'm just going to give a brief summary of everything Ian Watkins and Lost Prophets related. As I mentioned at the beginning, they were my favorite band when I was a kid. Before I even got into rock and metal like with the other mainstream bands, I was listening to Lost Prophets. You know, this is way back in the day, but there was something called Pixo, which allowed you to make your own websites easily. And when I was in 4th grade, I made my own Pixo website called coldflames.pixo.com. Don't even bother searching for it. It's dead and buried 6 feet under, went straight to hell. Not even on archive.org. But on my Pixo website, the very first thing that would happen when you went there is the music video for Lost Prophets' Rooftop song would play. That's right, I was like an early adopter of the K-pop stan culture where they just spam music videos everywhere to farm views for them. That's what I did for Lost Prophets on my website. So their music video for Rooftops would play, and then if you went to any of the other links on the side, a different Lost Prophets music video would play. I don't remember everything I posted on that website. I know a lot of it was RuneScape related, like giving updates on my character. But when I was giving updates, you would always be having a Lost Prophets music video play, like Shinobi vs. Dragon Ninja or something like that. But yeah, all that to say, I was big into the band, so this shit hurt a lot learning about this. I've always had that mentality of you need to separate art from artist when it comes to things, but I've been unable to do that for this band. They were my favorite band when I was a young kid. I can't listen to them anymore after learning everything about Ian Watkins. It's impossible for me. I can't separate the art from the artist, especially considering Ian Watkins in one of their music videos even subtly hints at his crimes. In the music video for A Town Called Hypocrisy, Ian says at the end, "Hi kids, welcome to Town Time. We have an amazing show for you. You're going to learn all kinds of important lessons." And in hindsight, it's pretty clear what he was like saying here, knowing his history and what was actually going on behind the scenes, and it's so fucked up. Now let's get into the actual timeline as well as history of Ian Watkins and the band. I'm not going to be showing much footage at all here. I'm mainly just going to be telling the story. It just doesn't really sit right with me to show anything from them. Knowing what we know now about Ian Watkins, it just feels fucking weird and yucky. However, there is a great breakdown of this whole situation from a channel called Gamers0, and they do show footage from the band as well as interviews of Ian Watkins, and they do a great job with it, so I recommend checking that out if you're interested in seeing more from the group as well as Ian and who he was as a person. But for me, I'm not going to be showing any of it, so let's get into it. Ian Watkins was the stepson of a Baptist minister and was an honor roll student. He basically fucking straight A'd his whole career as a student, graduated with honors from the University of Wales, and then in 1997 formed the Lost Prophets. They saw moderate success with their first album called The Fake Sound of Progress, but it was in 2004 with their follow-up album Start Something that they really broke into the mainstream spotlight. They sold 2.5 million copies and were propelled into stardom. They had their music videos on MTV. They even had Last Train Home on the soundtrack to NFL Street, which was a great game. NFL Street had a fucking wild soundtrack, but yeah, they were there. They were everywhere. Montages, back when Halo 2 montages were just starting to get their feet, Lost Prophets really took it by storm. They were a mainstream success, pretty much overnight with Start Something. With all the success came a lot of fans, many of which were underage girls that Ian Watkins would invite backstage after gigs. And from a couple of sources I've read, there were even rumors circulating around this time from media outlets that noted that there were minors backstage at these concerts around Ian Watkins, which made them uncomfortable, but they didn't really report on it or do anything on it, so I think that's a big fucking blunder from them. That is absolutely something that I think they should have raised an eyebrow with and looked into a bit deeper, but regardless. 2004, they had Start Something. They were blowing up. Ian Watkins was already abusing his status and starting to bring underage girls backstage. Then around 2008, he started getting addicted to hard drugs like crystal meth and cocaine. There was even a Music Insider that revealed more information to the depravity that was happening behind the scenes. They really blew the lid off the case of what was exactly going on back there. One of Ian Watkins' exes gave an extremely in-depth explanation for all the awful shit that he was doing and interested in, from child pornography to bestiality to him believing he was invincible and untouchable. Her name is Joanne, and she spent years gathering evidence against Ian Watkins in order to get the authorities to take him in, investigate, and arrest him, but was ignored at every possible turn. I think Gamers0 video does the best concise breakdown of the timeline here, so I'm just going to play a short clip from it before getting a little more in depth.
But did find it strange that there were so many young girls around the band that often. Joanne began receiving disturbing text messages from Watkins in 2008, following an incident in a video discovered by the police, in which the two are having sex, and Watkins is heard to tell Joanne that he can't wait to get you pregnant so they would have a child to abuse. Joanne then received a text message from Watkins in 2008, in which he bragged to Joanne that he had sex with multiple underage girls. Joanne, disgusted by this, went to the police immediately that same day, but unfortunately this would be the first of many instances in which Joanne was ignored.
It is worth noting that she did also say some horrible things to Ian. However, her side of the story is she was trying to gather as much evidence against him as possible to submit to the authorities to trap him and bring him to justice. So I think that's worth bringing up. She went to the police multiple times with her phone and laptop and asked them to look into it. Here's all the evidence, now please use it. And they never did. I don't know what their excuse was for not investigating further. Maybe because she was a sex worker for a time, so they didn't take her seriously, but they just wrote her off as an angry ex. Ian Watkins would regularly brag to her about having sex with kids. He would even send her images of actual, like, sexual abuse of children, and they just never took it seriously. At least, not until Ian Watkins was actually arrested, and then they launched a massive investigation and arrested Joanne for possession of those images that Ian sent her. So, she got arrested for the possession of the evidence she was gathering for the authorities who just weren't doing their job here. She was eventually cleared of these charges, but still, just an awful situation all around. He could have been stopped much, much earlier if the authorities had bothered to look into it even slightly. Because, like I said, he wasn't really hiding anything. There were a lot of rumors dating as far back to 2004 about some of the awful shit he was doing. Like, they could have just done the bare minimum and gotten this guy way before 2012. You know, in that time, how many more victims were there, you have to wonder. It also wasn't just Joanne that was submitting all of this evidence or making all of these claims against Ian Watkins. There were a lot of different people that came forward. For example, an Australian woman told police that Watkins was a child abuser and drug abuser. Her email even concluded saying, "Do not disregard this as it's serious." Nothing happened. There was other complaints, including intelligence reports about Watkins' drug use and sexual interest in kids that kept getting submitted to the South Wales Police Department that didn't get investigated. In March 2012, a woman even told police that Watkins may have sexually assaulted an 11-month-old boy, and then even described images that could be found on his computer if they searched. But they didn't search. Now, I'm going to look into the case just a bit, but I'm not going to go that deep because it's way too gross to talk about. It's so bad, in fact, that the judge that sentenced Ian Watkins, as well as the two mothers I mentioned at the start of the video that abused their kids for him, he said this: "Those who have appeared in these courts at the bar or on the bench over many years see and hear a large number of horrific cases. This case, however, breaks new ground. What you three did plumbed new depths of depravity." The full sentencing remarks can be found online, but I don't encourage anyone out there to read them because they will make you sick to your stomach. You will absolutely fucking puke. It'll ruin your whole day trying to read this. I'm only going to read a couple and bits and pieces of them. I can't read half of this shit. It's so fucking painful to even say. I'm only going to do a couple here, just to give you an idea of how bad this guy was. This isn't even the whole thing. So here, count 18 dates back to March 2007. You met after a Lost Prophets concert when she was a 16-year-old virgin. The prospect of taking her virginity excited you. You got her to dress in a schoolgirl's outfit and you videoed her and you having oral, vaginal, and anal sex. You asked her whether she enjoyed being your underage slut. At the end, you urinated over her face and told her to drink it. That gives you some insight into your attitude to young females at the time. Over 5 years before counts relating to count 19 dates back to August 2008. The girl was another fan, age 16. You videoed her having oral sex with you, and she is seen snorting white powder, which you told her was cocaine. This next part, I think, is going to be one of the most disturbing things you'll probably ever hear. This is in regards to the mothers, to one of them in particular. But you were a mother. Your infant was only 10 months old. A mother naturally loves, protects, shields, nurtures, and cherishes. Your infant would have trusted you implicitly. You betrayed that trust. What did you do? You had a detailed discussion with Watkins about the sexual acts to which the two of you were going to subject your infant. That's as far as I'm going to read, because then it goes into detail about what happened with Watkins, the mother, and that baby. And there is a video of it where they are sexually abusing a 10-month-old baby. And it's described in detail in the sentencing remarks. It is horrific. And this isn't all of it. Like, these were only 3 counts that I just read to you. It goes on and on and on. I think Ian Watkins is the biggest monster to have ever existed in any capacity as a celebrity or a singer, and just one of the most depraved individuals I've ever read about. They talk about the child pornography images and videos he has with kids aged 2 to 12. It's like an endless amount of the worst things you could possibly imagine. So yeah, I think the answer to who is the most evil artist or musician of all time is Ian Watkins. There's a long list of horribly fucked up celebrities out there, and I think Ian Watkins is somewhere towards the top of that list. That's about it. So yeah. A couple months ago, I was briefly talking about a TikToker on stream who had been arrested over urinating on grocery store food, and I've only loosely followed it over the last couple months, but I recently saw Tozy made a follow-up to it, and there was even more stunning revelations to this lady and her addiction to tinkling on items. And I wanted to fill you in here on the lore for this menace and what she is now facing, as well as just give a warning to all New Hampshire residents out there that you are not safe. Now is the time for panic, screaming in the streets, kind of like in the movie 2012, but if the world ended with piss from one woman.
This is a real shocker.
Yeah, she needs some kind of help, something. I mean, nothing surprises me anymore.
Shoppers in Keene are equally confused and disgusted after learning about the arrest of Kelly Tedford. The 23-year-old is now charged with felony criminal mischief, accused of using her own urine to contaminate products at the Monadnock Co-op grocery store and posting a video of the act online.
Now, in the beginning, she was referred to as a TikTok content creator, and initially I was under the impression this might have been some kind of desperate, deplorable challenge, the grocery store piss challenge or something like that. But from what I can tell, she's more of an OnlyFans creator. Like when you went to her profile, that'd be the main stuff that was on there, about 18 plus content. So it is technically true that she did make TikToks, but this would be like calling Riley Reid a rapper. Like, yeah, it is true, Riley Reid has a rap song, but I don't think many people would argue that was like her primary career. But anyway, Kelly Tedford had been investigated, and they apparently found evidence that she has a history of doing this going back 4 years, at least. That's a lot of possible piss contamination there. If you're a New Hampshire citizen, time to start scrubbing that mouth out with soap. Like, there is a good chance that some of the items you've eaten over the last 4 years may have had her little brand of flavor added to them, a little garnish on top, courtesy of her fucking urethra. Haunting stuff. Now, initially she was facing charges of criminal mischief for those videos and what they found through their investigation. I was surprised that it wasn't, like, more serious charges for it. Like, I thought it might go all the way up to fucking bioterrorism. But she was facing criminal mischief charges, and now she's facing even more charges, additional dessert here, because it turns out not only does she love tinkling on food, she just loves to piss on everything. She is constantly marking territory. She is like the grossest woman out there. They've discovered that she was apparently peeing all over her hotel room at one point. And I mean all over. There was nothing spared, not even the Bible. Apparently back in January, she filmed another video for her Kinky Kelly OnlyFans account. That's her supervillain alias on there, where she was in a hotel room peeing on an air conditioning unit, comforter, curtains, Bible, and also took a shit on the floor, picked up the poop, and then put it in the tank of the toilet, literally dropping an upper decker into this toilet manual, like old-fashioned style, analog. She didn't just like take a shit into the top turnbuckle of the toilet. She literally picked it up with her bare paws to put it in there and hide it. Sleep in fear, New Hampshire. Kinky Kelly might just swoop in the middle of the night like a burglar and waterboard you with urine. It is like you can't eat, you can't sleep without the fear of her having been there and contaminated with piss for her OnlyFans. But I think, food for thought, I feel like she might do it just for the love of the sport. Like, I don't even think she was making a killing on OnlyFans doing this fetish content. I bet she just has an addiction to pissing on things. So who's to say that every hotel room in New Hampshire hasn't faced her wrath at one point or another? We just haven't discovered it yet. She's a fucking disgusting menace. Who knows how far she would have pushed this if she wasn't taken in? Like, maybe she was cooking up some kind of nefarious Batman Begins level plot where she was going to aerosolize her urine and spread it throughout New Hampshire to have people hallucinating and vomiting from it from the fumes. There's no telling. But now that they found even more evidence of her doing this in even more places on more things, she's facing even more serious charges, so she might spend some meaningful time behind bars. Which I think that's par for the course. I feel like that's appropriate here. Like, she was contaminating food items and places where people sleep. Like, that's bad. It shouldn't be a light sentence for her. But anyway, while she's in custody now, New Hampshire can sleep a little more peacefully knowing she's no longer terrorizing your food supply or your living quarters. So that's good, and I guess we'll see what happens to Kinky Kelly going forward here. All 30 of her OnlyFans subscribers are probably distraught. They're going to have to get their piss content elsewhere, I suppose. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a little update on this since we talked about it on stream a couple months ago. That's about it. See ya. I've talked about some deplorable evil people on this channel, and a lot of the times, the people I cover do face, like, very real punishment for being monsters. That's not always the case, though. Last month I made a video talking about Jesse Butler, the rapist. Jesse Butler, the rapist, was facing 10 rape-related charges, looking at a potential 78-year sentence, and this isn't a case of he was framed, turns out he was innocent, completely blameless, it was the damn deep state working on a crazy conspiracy to throw an innocent man behind bars. No, there's overwhelming evidence to confirm this, including a video he himself took of a strangulation on one of his victims that, according to experts, would have literally killed her if he continued for even seconds longer. He is a rapist. He is a turbo rapist, in fact. And you would expect, given that this is so cut and dry, he would be behind bars for the rest of his life. Well, you'd be wrong to assume that, bozo, because it turns out his family, they've got some real leverage over there in Oklahoma. So much so that the judge and everyone involved in this case thought it was appropriate that he doesn't go to the slammer. Instead, they came up with a fate worse than death. Community service. Yep. His punishment will be no jail time, no nothing. He continues to breathe the free air, be a free man, and all he has to do is complete some community service, do like a phone call, check in weekly, and then some sex offender treatment. They're treating this animal like he stole a balloon on Free Balloon Day. This is absolutely preposterous, and in a sane society, it would lead to everyone involved in this catastrophic ruling not only fired, but also thrown in jail themselves, and then re-sentencing Jesse Butler to a life in prison. Like, it's not a matter of if he did it, they know he did it, and they just don't care. Let me show you what Susan C. Worthington looks like, the judge presiding over this case. I want to put a face to the name so you can see what a rape defender looks like. She is totally okay with this course of action, or really lack of action. Payne County District Attorney Laura Austin Thomas also seems to be enthusiastically on board with this, confirming that his sentence requires him to complete his rehabilitation plan successfully, including an aggressive schedule of therapy with a specialist in sex offender treatment, and should he fail, he faces reclassification as an adult and a sentence of 10 years in prison. That aggressive schedule of therapy, from what I'm seeing, is basically just weekly check-ins. Whoa! Holy shit, how is he going to survive that? Man, that actually might be harder than going to prison for 78 years. He has to call somebody once a week to talk about, like, his feelings, and probably still raping on the side. Like I said in the last video covering this, him getting away with this, the only lesson he's learned is that he can literally do whatever he wants and he's untouchable, he's invincible. So I imagine, not long into the future, he will rape again, and this time, he might kill his victim. He got very close to a fatal strangulation on his last one, and maybe the lesson he took away is that the reason he got caught is because his victims survived. So maybe next time around, he won't let them survive. I think there is going to be blood on all of these people's hands. Now, I want to also show you a picture of Lauren Austin Thomas because I think it's important you see all of the rape defenders here. Now, of course, it's not just these two worms responsible. This is a long process with tons of clowns in the circus that led to this disaster, but these were the only two pictures I could find to associate with them. But, yeah. Jesse Butler is free. He doesn't even have to register on anything, by the way, so he's going to go completely under the radar, incognito. He could be in your backyard raping your dog right now if you're in Oklahoma. Sleep in fear. Just sickening, disgusting stuff. Susan and Laura have sent a very clear, very loud message to the entire world that if you're a rapist, come on down to Payne County, Oklahoma. That's a place you can call home. They'll even pop champagne to welcome you and do everything in their power to protect the rapists. Now, anyway, the reason why I'm yapping about this again is because Jesse Butler, the rapist, just had another hearing where a lot of people turned up to protest this complete affront to God that is unfolded here.
Jesse, why did you rape those girls, Jesse? Jesse, why did you rape the girls? You have anything to say to the victims, Jesse? Do you have anything to say to the victims? Being loud is not a violation. Sir, do you have anything to say to the victims? Do you have anything to say to the victims, Jesse? Why did you rape them, Jesse? Why did you rape the victims, Jesse? Why did you rape those girls? Why did you strangle them, Jesse? You raped those girls, Jesse. Do you have anything to say to the victims, Jesse? Why did you rape those girls? Are you as dumb as they say you are, Jesse? Is that why you were adjudicated a juvenile, because you're that stupid? Are you that dumb, Jesse? Why did you rape the girls? Jackie, why are you defending your rapist son? Why did you rape him?
Do you feel bad for being a rapist, Jesse?
Why did you rape him?
From what I've read and what I understand, there were a lot of people that showed up to express their outrage over this whole situation here. Payne County is very upset. But it doesn't seem like anything's happening at an upper level with Susan or Laura's jobs potentially going into the gutter, which I think they should. That should absolutely just be flushed right down the shitter, because this is not justice. They are clearly not actually looking for justice. They are knowingly allowing a rapist to walk free. I do think they should lose their jobs, and a lot of people showed up to echo similar sentiments about how ridiculous this whole thing is. The sentencing has already happened. This was just like a further hearing that people wanted to show up at to let their voices be heard about how unacceptable this is. So it's all done and dusted. He is not going to jail. He's not going on any kind of registry. He's not going to face any real punishment. All he's going to be doing is some community and service, then like a bit of therapy work, I suppose. That is what Susan, Laura, and the squad of fucking vermin deemed appropriate for the crime of rape, violent rape, numerous counts of rape, as well as a near fatal strangulation. It's unthinkable. It's so unbelievably corrupt. I encourage all of you to look deeper into this case, because I mean, I covered a little bit of it in the video I made on it last time, but there is some really interesting connections with Jesse Butler's family, and not only the judge, but kind of everyone in that area where his family, they do hold a lot of power. Perhaps that played a role in allowing a violent rapist to be free on the streets. Food for thought, I suppose. As you saw in that clip, there are a lot of people following Jesse around, bringing up that he is a monster. And since he's not going to jail, hopefully people will never forget who Jesse Butler is, a rapist. And he should be reminded of that fact every day so people can steer clear of him. It should follow him around like a fucking cloud over his head, like it's a cartoon with like rain falling on him. Like, it is literally a rapist that is a danger to everyone around him. And since the justice system over there in Payne County, Oklahoma didn't want to take it into their hands and do something about it, it's up to the citizens to keep each other informed that Jesse Butler is someone that should be avoided at all costs and ostracized from the rest of the community at the very least, so he can't prey on more victims. He is someone that should never know a moment of peace and relaxation. He is someone that people should literally sound the rape alarm anytime they see him around. He is a fucking monster who got away with it. It is just so infuriating. It is beyond sickening. And I think there should be extreme calls to action for Susan, Laura, and the rest of the system that allowed this to happen. They need to lose their position. I 100% believe they are not fit for their job. They are clearly not actually in the pursuit of justice. The only takeaway you can have from the handling of this case is that the Payne County upper brass here in the justice system is on the side of rapists. It is inarguable. How the fuck can you allow them to continue to hold those positions? There needs to be some kind of governing body to come in and say, no, enough is enough. You're fired. Also, we're going to pursue charges of our own against you for this shit. That's what I think should happen. If there's any real justice out there, I think that's what should 100% fucking happen, because this is just unacceptable. It is completely unacceptable. Anyway, though, I'll stop blabbering about it. That's about it. See ya.